Hello folks, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the Ludo Narrative. I'm Ashley,
I am Max.
and this is the show where we take a critical eye to the games that we love, and perhaps even some games that we don't love. But today, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about Metal Hellsinger, one of the latest in the sort of burgeoning genre of rhythm shooters, a genre that I'm sure Max has a lot to say about.
Yes, indeed.
And so
this
because
is one of my favorite games.
Absolutely. So, due to all of that, Max, take it away. Tell us about Metal Hellsinger. Give us the premise.
Well, it's very simple. You see, it's a game, it is a shooter, and there is amazing music to this game that you follow along with by shooting to the rhythm. Now, I want to point this out in advance before I get some people, that start saying, like, technicalities or whatever. Technically speaking, you're not shooting to the rhythm. You're shooting to the beat. I should make that clear in advance.
It's an important distinction, apparently.
It is. There is another game currently in the works called Gun Jam.
Okay.
That is a rhythm shooter. So,
explain how that works then, because I'm curious.
okay, so effectively, think of like Guitar Hero. You have a beat map that you end up going along with.
Yeah.
The level is timed. You have to go through the level in a set amount of time to a song that will continue to play.
Okay.
Even if you are ahead or behind. So, it's very interesting. It's very different. Compared to Metal Hellsinger, I'll give you the core of how this works really quickly before we get into it. Because you might find the song on YouTube and go, shoot, the song is 6 minutes. Is the level 6 minutes? No. That's not at all the case. Several parts of the song end up looping in the actual level. They have bridges that connect certain areas to others. They have hooks. You'll hear it as I go along.
So it's all fairly dynamic then?
Completely, yeah. And speaking of how dynamic this game is, something we can get into after I start it up, is that there's a multiplier for how well you're doing. You'll see that when we get into it. Starting off, before we actually get into the game itself, this is a fresh file.
Yes, we made sure, because I felt it was important that we give something as close to like an accurate representation of what the game would be if you were to play it, right? It's okay, for Max, obviously, that he has a more than complete file that he can go back and just keep doing it and stuff like that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to show, let's say, the first level with all the abilities that you get towards the end game and stuff like that. So it made more sense to kind of show the game as it is initially presented to the player.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, one thing that ends up happening in this game is that when you go through to play the game, it does not replay cutscenes. And all the cutscenes are going to be available in the codex, which has a whole list of things which we'll get into as we find them throughout the game. But you have basic tutorials explaining the game, the weapons. Yes, this is a skull. It is a weapon. It is the best weapon in the game, purely by its narrator. Bestiary, which goes over monsters, and extras, which I want to show this off real quick because as we go to new game...
One sec, Max.
Oh.
I don't have the game up yet. I'm still on the starting screen, and I'm waiting for the game screen to load, and it's not, which is concerning.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
gotcha.
I know why. I know why it's not loading. One sec, I can fix that.
Okay.
Oh, I can't. Do me a favor, Max, I'm so sorry. The initial link we were going to use, the one that's in the links channel?
Yes.
You just use that instead. Sorry, I forgot that we didn't switch back. My bad.
You're okay.
Small technical mistake on my part. We had a couple of technical difficulties before we got started.
By technical difficulties, you do mean me being a little bit of a dipshit.
No. Like, it by all accounts, it looked correct. So, it should have been fine. Ooh, wow, that is loud. Alright, turn my music off. Max, you want to just talk a little bit then?
I can talk more about the game. I'll go through some of the things. So in settings, we have a new addition to settings with the most recent update. And that is going to be they now allow you to customize the colors of different things in the game, which I find very interesting. I appreciate it a lot. I am colorblind, so being able to adjust all these to my personal liking makes it significantly easier for indicators and whatnot. You can change reticles, the color you get on your crosshair when you get a headshot, and there's a few other things like always on beat, which is the assist mode for those who might struggle with rhythm.
Oh, that's good. Accessibility is super important, and I can accept it with older games because I can understand that some games are going to get these things mixed up. But newer games, I'd say in most situations, there's no excuse to not have just decent accessibility options, unless you're a very indie game and you're just working on a time limit or limited budget and you just want to get the game out. I think most of the time, build around accessibility options. It's important that people with, certain accessibility issues such as color blindness, something that about 8.5% of all men suffer from, and about 1.5% of all women have. That's the real fact. It's genuinely a lot of people have color deficiency, so very important to do that. Max, could you do me a favor, just a small one? Go to settings and just crank the audio down just a slight bit. 30. 30.
30? Okay.
Yeah.
I could do 30 just fine.
That's good.
Okay.
Alright. To the people watching before we get started, do the audio levels seem fine? Because music and the audio here is going to be very important, so it would be useful to know if you can hear myself, Max, and the music all with reasonable clarity.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you were talking about this skull.
Yeah, the skull. This is Paz. He is the best. We'll learn about him as we go. But more importantly,
the pulse of the universe.
We already played the first cutscene when we were testing this.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to use this opportunity to just show the game's intro, and then we can get into the actual levels proper.
All right, yeah, go for it.
Hell of a night for a story.
Ooh, the voice is really low.
Look at them stars.
Ah, in that case, I can change that real quick.
Put it to 100. I'm sure it'll be fine for the cutscene. We can put it back down after the cutscene if we want.
Yeah. Go to codecs, extras. Let's try that again.
Hell of a night.
That's better.
For a story.
Great.
Well, set her down. Look at them stars. And I'll tell you one. South heaven. Way south now. There was this soul. Special, I mean to say. This soul came to hell just like a tune comes into your head. Nobody knew why or where from. All they knew, she had a score to settle. Now, demons not being the most creative types, they just called her the unknown. But hell is hell. And down there, they take away what you love most. Took her voice. For now, what you need to know is she wanted it back. Now this here's the Red Judge, ruler of the Hells, the devil with a capital D. The judge personally saw to the unknown, and just to make sure the unknown didn't cause any more ruckus, the judge locked her up tight with unbreakable magics. No way out. She was trapped, and she was down there a long time, just getting madder. Would have stayed there forever if I hadn't called. You see, the thing is, just because the unknown couldn't break those magic gates herself, don't mean they can't be broken. And just because Judge stole her voice, don't mean she'd never sing again.
Okay.
So this would be a good opportunity to point out all of the cutscenes are not made in any sort of like 3D models of what's already in the game. They're all made like that. And
Right.
that's something I generally appreciate in the game.
It's a nice style. So the game's story sets itself up as sort of a classic revenge tale. Of
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, someone, I guess, literally trying to take revenge against the devil.
Devil with a capital D.
Devil with a capital D.
Now, in case anyone was wondering, I don't know if this universe canonically uses Scrolg, but they might.
Oh my god. No.
No?
That's our thing, they'd have to pay for it.
Okay. Now, just to get some liberties out of the way real quick, if you recognize the name, or the voice of that skull, is voiced by Troy Baker.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying that like it's surprising. You can pretty much point to any male voice in video games and go, okay, that's probably Troy Baker.
I mean, yeah, but also, they got Troy Baker for this, am I right?
Yeah. It's either it's either Troy Baker or Nolan North, right? It's always one of those two.
Yeah, of course. So, in the difficulty settings, this seems like minute, but this is something to point out. On Beast Mode, which we're not going to be playing today because I want to be able to talk and play at the same time, it is significantly harder than on Goat. Goat is your normal, Lamb is easy. You get these things called resurrections, so if you die, you just basically resurrect, come back up where you're standing.
Lives of a sort, then.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Lamb, you get 3. In Goat, you get 2. And you know how math works, right?
Yeah.
So, in Beast, you get none.
Yeah. that's how video game difficulties work.
Yeah, it is, of course. We're going to be playing through it on Goat. These always have little tips here, and you can comfortably, without panicking about the game loading too quick or too slow, scroll through them at your own pace. Okay. They're all helpful. If you want to see any of these, just pause it over it.
Oh, right. Sorry, before we get any further, I do want to say, with all TLN streams that we're going to be doing, all the Ludo Narrative stuff, these are all going to be spoiler open streams. There will be spoilers because sometimes it is important to talk about the story and where it goes in order to actually like fully, critically, dissect a game. So if you are worried about spoilers, just be aware that they will be here. We will be talking freely about the story and sort of where things go because I think that's important for the free and open dialogue. So just be aware of that before we go any further. All right.
One other thing, too, real quick, before I forget to mention this one, because I didn't write this one down, and I want to make sure I remember it. If this game does at all look interesting to you, it is going to be on sale until November 10th.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is on sale as of right now.
That's rather serendipitous.
Yeah, beautiful timing, I think so. But that also means we've immediately dated the VOD.
That's absolutely fine. What it does mean is I now have like a day or two to get it on YouTube so that that's still relevant.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure there's more pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah, I love having more work to do. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Don't know why I'm so happy remembering it. Her coming to get me and all, but I am.
Wait, is that voice the Red Judge then?
No, this is not. We will see whose voice this is very soon. It is not the Unknowns, though.
Well, yeah, because she's a she.
She doesn't have it anymore.
Oh, also that, yeah. Could be a voice in her head, you don't know.
It could be,
Her internal monologue.
Now, one thing to point out as well. So, yay, we're moving. This is great. That's how you jump. I love the design of this place.
It's very nice. Man, I hate to compare things to Doom, but I'm probably gonna have to do that a lot with this game, because it's set in hell. But yeah, no, I do like the architecture. I like that. I like it being cold. The idea of like hell being cold, like something that from Dante's Divine Comedy was like a thing that the very lowest level of hell, reserved for traitors and stuff like that, where the devil was kept, was frozen. It was cold. So I do like the use of, like, you know, rather than it just being the hell lakes and lava pools that we see, it's like, no, there's snow here as well, and we're in the peaks of the mountains and stuff. Like, it makes sense. I like it.
You actually do see the like pooling lava around as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a beautiful design choice. Also, structures and buildings.
Yeah,
like
it's interesting. So, I mean, obviously, everything here is of a very fantastical nature. You have floating rocks, and you've got lava coming out of those floating rocks. Where does the lava come from? Who knows? But then,
what, you think about that kind of stuff? No,
I do. But then, yeah, we obviously have buildings here. So, you know, that could pose the question of, like, were they built by the demons? Was there a civilization here at one point? Was this once a realm that belonged to someone else, right? Which is cool. And also, one thing about the unknown is that her origins are thus far unknown, but she appears to be demonic in nature, though looks fairly different to the other demons that we've seen.
Yes. Also, one thing to note with her, and this is something that's very special, and we'll talk about this later, but she looks like a demon.
Yeah.
But she came down to hell.
Yeah, but she came down to hell very easily.
Yes.
Almost as if it was natural.
That is something to note. Now, in terms of things I thoroughly enjoy in games, right? I really enjoy when the focus of the game is made crystal clear and to the point, right?
Right.
The more you try to branch out the idea of what a game is, you kind of start messing up with what it is and isn't. When a game's trying to do too much, it doesn't feel like a really good, focused experience.
Yeah, I think
Think
it
about
depends.
all the games that have crafting systems haphazardly thrown in them, and you'll get the idea.
But I mean,
right?
You know, to counter that, there are plenty of games that have very broad focus that actually, you know, do execute it fairly well. Like, you know, very different from FPSs, but like a grand strategy game, for example, has a very wide variety of like ways you can approach it. But
hell,
Minecraft, yeah, Christ, you can. Minecraft has a little bit to communicate what he wants you to do, often by trial and error. But like, yeah, like the way you go about playing Minecraft, yeah, it's very, very much up to you. This is a very focused game, though, as obviously is what you're trying to allude to here.
Yes, and one way to show that is the fire that you'll find throughout the levels is going to the beat. It goes in fours.
I didn't even realize that.
It's very good.
That is very good.
Marionettes. Hated them.
So walk us through, like, so, you know, your inputs right now. Obviously, you're doing it to the beat.
Yes, so obviously we're walking around with WASD. You can jump. You can dash.
Okay.
If you dash offbeat... Oh, thank you, game. You can dash offbeat, and it does not ruin your score. One thing about this game that is important is your streak and your score. As you can see on the side there, I have a 3-hit streak from hitting 3 times without messing up. But when you dash on beat, you can do it back to back versus offbeat.
Oh, okay, well,
sort of
slower.
delayed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess the takeaway here is that, like, while the beat is obviously going to benefit you when it comes to attacking, not for stuff like dashing and stuff like that, it's not entirely a limitation. It's not going to.
Yes, you can jump whenever you want.
Yeah.
But if you jump and dash correctly together, which I can show real quick,
Sure.
you'll soar.
Okay.
Which is a big part. I think that was a big learning curve for me from this game compared to something like BPM, which I've played a lot of.
Yeah.
That's how you get speed. Generally, your walking speed is pretty slow.
Yeah, it's slower than a lot of like more action-oriented shooters of recent years and stuff. Yeah. Anyway,
so this is the terminus.
Yeah.
This is the sword. Marionettes. I love the way that they're still beating. Well, their hearts to the beat. This weapon swings in 3s and hits on the 4th. So it goes swing, swing, and then it does like a wind up and then a hit on the 4th beat. The way you input that is attack, 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 and then you don't have to do anything on the last one.
Okay, so the 4th one's automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might notice my damage is kind of, not bad. It's taken a few hits to kill these guys.
A couple, yeah. What I am noticing is on the swings, you're still dealing damage as well. Like, they're not...
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we get to the next part. Slaughters! Every game needs a glory kill these days, but this game does it pretty well, I think.
Okay.
You hit it, and on the very next beat, the slaughter happens.
Alright.
So...
Glory kills being the one good thing to come from Duke Nukem Forever.
No kidding, right?
As far as I'm aware, that's one of the first games to do it.
Doing that will replenish health. This game has unlimited ammo. You just gotta reload at the right time.
Ooh, we're getting some pretty funky video artifacting and frame rate issues on your part.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, your internet might be dying. I don't know.
Is my internet dying?
We'll go as we need to. We'll just carry on. We'll see if it makes itself better. I don't know, hold the whole stream for that.
Sure. Again, another very pretty area. This is a very good introduction to, kind of hell. Even though I'm going to complain a little bit about it later.
I mean, that's good. It's good to.
We understood each other without them.
I see.
Guess it sounds like love at first sight, don't it? You see, the whole universe has a rhythm. Well, it's kind of my pulse. And when I'm with her, we sort of become one. Her
I
music
see.
is my music.
Mm-hmm.
My voice is hers.
This is Chainsaw Man, and that's her devil.
Yes, basically. Now, Paz is one of my favorite weapons. Yes, he is a weapon.
Okay.
So the way he works, Paz can be used to keep Fury up even without demons around. Yes, that is correct. Normally, all your weapons to keep your Fury multiplier up, you have to be hitting hitting enemies.
What's Fury?
Oh, we're about to be introduced to it.
Okay.
Fury multipliers at the top of the screen. That's not only showing you how many extra points you're going to be getting while you play. Higher multiplier means higher amount of damage you're dealing.
Okay.
So earlier when the sword was taking a few swings, like 3 consistently to kill 1 demon, that's not going to be the case when you hit the highest multiplier.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to go ×1, you just have the beat.
Yep.
×2, you start getting more instruments. ×3, you start getting the guitar. × you're getting all the extra background noise, and when you hit 16 times,
okay, so
that's when you get the lyrics.
So yeah, it what's the word? It introduces or brings in all the different stems of the music.
Yes,
That's
yes.
really good.
I think there's a game that copied this. Copied Metal Hellsinger a while ago. I think it's called I don't know. Devil May Cry 5 or something. Yeah, I don't know about anything about that game.
Devil May Cry games have done this kind of thing for a while. DMC4 did it as well. I think 3 did as well.
Yeah, they're all copying Metal Hellsinger.
For sure, yeah. These
came out this
Capcom
year.
games from the PS2 era. Yeah.
Yep.
Just quickly, Julie the Ghost, thank you for following. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the stream.
Julie. Hi, Julie. All right. So as you see, the multiplier goes up with Paz, even when you don't hit. You get. This is telling us everything we need to know about how the system. I love that. Yes, doing actions on beat increases your Fury.
Sure.
Perfect, which is hitting right on beat, gives the most.
Okay.
It's easy as. And then we're about to get to my favorite part. So these are pulsing on the ground. You have ones that look like this and ones that just look like an up arrow.
Okay.
The 16 times take you straight to 16 times boost.
Makes sense. So what's the skull called again?
The Fury. The Fury.
No, the skull that you currently have in your hand.
Oh, Paz. His name is Paz.
Okay, so is Paz attacking automatically, or are you clicking each time there?
I am clicking each time.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, all the attacks in this game, none of them are automatic. You're all doing them on your own, which we can talk about as we find more stuff.
Yeah.
This is Michael Stan of Dark Tranquility.
Okay.
He is a saint.
Oh yeah.
So all of the music, the instrumentals of this game, is done by Two Feathers. If you don't know Two Feathers, Angry Birds 2.
Uh-huh.
They've done other things, of course. They've done work. The reason they were on this is they were already doing a project with the devs for this game, and they said, we can do metal.
Okay.
There's a whole behind-the-scenes documentary that goes into it, but basically, one of the band members of Two Feathers, their mother knew Michael Stan and said, hey, would you be interested in coming in to do lyrics for this? And he said, sure. They got him on, and then they said, well, we have Michael Stan on. Who else can we get on? And they just kept inviting other members of different bands. So this has an entire stacked list of musical talents for the vocals in this, all of which were meticulously picked for different songs that fit their style the best.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. We'll see more as they get into it. Every level starts off by telling you the name of the song and the person who is going to be singing the vocals of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm so happy about this. I love everything about metal music. And the fact that they got so many like good names in here. Hang on, I'm gonna start naming off a few bands. I won't go into every single singer.
Uh-huh.
We have the band Ginger, Soilwork, Trivium, Refused, Envision, Lamb of God, Arch Enemy, Black Crown Initiate, System of a Down.
System of a Down?
Yeah! Serge Tankian himself.
Wow. I don't know. No Death Clock, it can't be a good one.
So yeah, in this starting area, it is just going over the basics, how to shoot.
A tutorial, if you will.
Yo, you don't say. Now, that's one thing I just want to point out real quick. The slaughter distance isn't super duper long.
I was gonna say the opposite. I was like, holy shit, you could do that from quite far away.
Yes, it's not the longest, but it is quite far.
Yeah.
It is used as two parts in this thing. A, to get you away from where you are if you need to, and two, it's an oh shit button when you're low on health.
Okay. Makes sense.
Weapons on the bottom of the screen. That green bar above the weapons is my health. But you can see earlier it was taking us 3 hits with the sword to kill these guys.
Yeah.
The wind-up on its own can kill them.
So speaking of things that Devil May Cry stole from this game,
of course,
there's big spiky walls there to stop you from carrying on. And it was just
yeah.
complete unashamed theft there from Capcom.
Poor bastards. That's destiny for you. Can't unlock an anguish gate without breaking few monsters.
No, she is out of her eternity.
Okay. So that was the first level.
That was the tutorial level. Now we get into the first level. And the reason I make the distinction between first level and tutorial level, the tutorial level does not have a score at the end to tell you how you did throughout it.
Sure.
The score is going to be on the top right.
Right.
The first level will. Now, the musical talents for this first one is still going to be Michael Stan from Dark Tranquility. There.
The first hell was Vogue, full of cold and ice and despair.
Again, sort of an
Didn't care though. She had her own plan.
sort of an interesting contrast to again the Divine Comedy. Here being that the cold hell is the first level, while in Divine Comedy was the final level.
Oh yeah. Now, one thing about the Unknown's design herself. I love her design.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's a good...
One thing you
Good
might notice
observation.
with Paz is you see where his skull, his horns on his head.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting that they're the same as the Unknown's, isn't it?
The 4 horns, yeah.
Yeah. So Paz has 2 fire modes. First one is just shooting like this. Second one is a bigger shot like that. Now the bigger shot crystallizes enemies.
Okay. It's like freezes them in place. Or are they just dead at that point?
They're not dead. They can undo.
Okay.
The thing that's cool is when they die, they explode.
Always a fan of a good explosion.
Yeah.
Styx crystal. Good for health.
Okay, health crystals built around makes sense.
Yep.
So is it going to be that Paz is the devil with a lowercase d? Is that what we're leading up to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's champion. Shooter enemy. Surprisingly bulky.
It is, yeah, that is actually an interesting choice to make, like, the ranged guys, the thick ones.
Here's Persephone. I reckon we'll see lots more of her.
Okay, more like...
Persephone is the shotgun. Great time to talk about the reload mechanics of this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can shoot a bit, and you can reload at any time by hitting your designated reload button. Mine is not the baseline R.
Okay.
Good time to talk about this. Yeah, you can lose lyrics.
You can lose lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if for whatever reason your multiplier goes below 16, which you can show. Come on, hit me again. Hit me again. You lose lyrics.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This game was initially intended to only have the 8 times multiplier.
Oh.
When they started getting lyrical talents in, singers, they added the 16 multiplier for that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you deal the same amount of damage on 16 as you do on 8.
Right, okay. That's interesting how, sort of, I don't know, artistic intent dictated the way that, like, the game ended up being designed. Like,
absolutely.
So this is, importantly, if you can't guess by the score on the top right, this is a score attack game. This game has leaderboards, and some people, no one, I'm not going to name anyone in particular, would care about their position on a leaderboard.
Yeah?
Yeah, and so, it's, adding a big doubler to the multiplier can really change the sort of range of values, right, on the leaderboard, like the distance between second and first place. So yeah, I do find it interesting how something like that, which could be fairly core to this kind of game, ended up actually being dictated by just how the music ended up turning out.
Oh yeah. Now, something to point out.
Chaos crystal nearby.
Gas crystals.
Okay.
They explode.
Red barrels, gotcha.
And that's what Paz turns basic marionettes into.
Oh,
is
clever.
Red barrels.
That's a fun design.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they don't hurt you though when they explode, because you've been slaughtering them. Oh, okay. I was going to say you've been slaughtering them without taking damage.
Slaughter gives you iframes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is very handy. You can use that to dodge attacks.
Also on the fun little bits of trivia here, the shotgun here being called Persephone, of course a reference to Persephone, the wife of Hades, goddess, minor goddess of like seasons and nature, but also life and death.
Yes. Now Persephone. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about reloading. I completely passed that. There's 2 kinds of reloads.
Okay.
Regular full reload takes like 5 beats. Or that little shiny button there, if you hit the reload button again over it.
Where am I looking on the screen there for the shiny button? Do you want to show me that again?
Look at the indicator that brings in the beats from the side of the crosshair.
Yep. Oh, I see. Okay. So, bringing across lessons learned from like Gears of War and stuff like that. Is there a punishment for missing that? Or is it just,
the full reload?
Just the full reload. Okay, so at worst you'll just get a normal reload.
And I actually lied. There's 3 kinds of reloads.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to try to show it off.
Alright.
if you hit it when you go to slaughter, it finishes your reload for you.
Okay, that's nice.
But it's got to be on the beat, as if you were hitting it like normal.
Sure.
Game's talking about the quick reload right there.
Nice. So, talking of sort of like hitting things on beat and stuff like that, as I haven't noticed any punishment for hitting a note, hitting a beat, but missing a shot.
No, you do not get punished for missing a shot.
Okay.
Thank God.
Because I could definitely see that being like a thing in these kind of games, right?
Oh yeah. I think that was a mistake if anyone were to go for something as harsh as that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, game's talking about the ultimates. I guess now would be a good time to go over those. The ultimate is the second fire on all weapons that does something ultimate. So the Persephone's is a gigantic shotgun blast.
A super shotgun, if you will.
Yes, it pierces, and I don't know the end of its range.
Could just be endless then.
Yes.
Or is effectively endless.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking about the level design here, by the way, I absolutely love this sort of claustrophobic section.
Yeah, there's a lot that's good here. It gives you good opportunity to show off the shotgun. The use of like an upper and lower level, while it doesn't necessarily affect your ability to shoot things, it can affect your mobility, so you've got to be more careful with like how you move around and stuff like that, otherwise you can get punished and caught up on something. But likewise, I wouldn't say this is like too crazy for like, you know, the first level. I wouldn't say this is a super difficult design
Not
to like
at all.
play around with.
This big boy here, Behemoth. He has a few attacks, most of them with that gigantic hook.
Mm-hmm.
Very punishing if you miss him.
Okay.
He hits really hard.
Knowledge of myself. My ultimate, I guess you could say.
Az was talking about his ultimate there. I think now would be a good opportunity to talk about... Oh, messed that up. Now would be a great opportunity to talk about some other part of the game that I am not a huge fan of.
Okay.
Because, again, this is a critical look.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to be, you know, critical of the games that we love, and that does mean shining a light on the bad things as well as the good.
Oh, yeah. The game has a... It's a shame. I feel so conflicted with it. It is very campy. I love the camp, right? The very obviously, like, this is imperfect storytelling for the purpose of letting it feel just, like, really sitting in it, you know?
Okay.
Think, like, classic Spider-Man movie, right? With, who directed that?
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. Yeah, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films. Beautiful example of just very campy, right? Very superhero-y feeling.
Yeah, the Spider-Man ones are a weird one. They definitely feel campy now, and they definitely are. But man, there's been a lot of comic book movies before Spider-Man that like make it look so serious. It was at a time when there was a lot of experimentation going on with how to translate comic books into movies. Anyway, that's unrelated. Carry on with talking about camp.
So the camp, I'm just going to go ahead and sit here and admire some of the atmosphere real quick for everyone. These demons killing each other.
You wouldn't even notice that if you weren't looking for it.
Oh yeah, no. They put quite a bit of detail into these that are surprising. Here's a beautiful example of just strange random structures. Quicker. Pots, they break for score. They can keep up your streak if you ever need them. That's it.
Pop good. You heard it here first, kids. All right.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean... Anyways, so... when it comes to the storytelling for this game, it does fall in the line of trying to be campy, of course. That is not to say there aren't times where, in the best of the words possible, it doesn't fall into the line of being a hair tad bit cringy.
Okay.
There is one specific example that is during a cutscene. So you only see it once, really, when you're going through it for your first time.
All right.
Where Paz says, and I quote, it's something took the big L. And that is so jarring to hear in a medium like this.
Does it follow up by saying, and that's a big oof there,
line.
folks?
That's a huge,
I thought you were gonna like say, oh, it really like leans into edgelord territory or something like that. But okay, yeah, took the big L. All right. Yeah,
there's not times where it isn't funny. I
don't know. If I think about, I could definitely see like an old timey western from like the 50s, and without like the context of meme culture and Twitter, I could definitely see, and I'm really trying to like justify this.
Stretching.
I could really see like a storyteller, like an old man. What's his face? Who was in Ghost Rider? Dude with he's more mustache than man. It's gonna bug me. Sam Elliott. I could totally see. Sam Elliott. Because this guy's definitely doing a Sam Elliott kind of impression as well. I could definitely see Sam Elliott, saying, fuck, I can't think of like a cowboy name. Old Texas Pete. He went on down there and he knew he'd come back with the big L. I could see that. It's a stretch, but I could definitely see Sam Elliott or someone like that in an old cowboy movie, giving that narration without the context of what that means to us now. I'm not saying that is definitely what would have happened, but I can kind of do that. Random trivia. Oh fuck. We'll do random trivia before the break. We'll go for break in about 15 minutes, and I will give random trivia then. But let's carry on with the game.
Yes. So a little cringy at times. A lot of times I really like it. A lot of times I don't. Another thing to point out. Whenever you destroy the last gate before getting to a boss fight on a level, when you destroy it, your meter cannot go down.
Okay.
Your streak, you can lose your streak. Like, if I shoot off beat, I lost my streak.
Sure.
Streak loss, by the way.
Fury stays the same until you're in combat, effectively.
Yes. Yeah. Which is very good. Between arenas, it will go down because it's all one big level.
Sure.
But during these breaks, you see they change, and now we get to see. Oh, I love that fire effect.
I mean, the beat and like the rhythm here is definitely a big part of like just the design language of the world as well, right? They've done a good way of incorporating it in. Like, hang on, let's look at the lightning in the background. Is it always on beat? No, I think it might be. Okay, I don't think the lightning's on beat, but a lot of what is going on here on screen, like all of this, you can see
the chaos crystals.
The beat. You can physically see the beat, the chaos crystals, the fury power ups, the fire, all of it.
The enemies themselves, when they are in a glowing state, will be going to the beat, which is fantastic.
That was one thing I noticed. That Behemoth didn't seem to do that. That was one enemy that I noticed wasn't like glowing or changing with the beat or anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Are there attacks with the beat? Or do they just attack?
The attacks,
they like?
They're not. Okay, this is something that a lot of people have given this game gripes for, which I'm going to defend right now.
Okay.
The attacks are not quote unquote like on beat, but they're pre-beat. So
pre-beat. All right.
If you are shooting on beat and you shooting an enemy would kill it, and it is throwing its attack at you, you will kill it before it lands the attack. That is an important distinction to make. It's with marionettes all the time that if you shoot late on the beat, you'll get hit.
Right, okay, so I'd say that works. This isn't Crypt of the Necrodancer, right? It's not like everyone's taking their turns at the same time.
Exactly.
But I don't know, it's weird. I can see it from the other perspective of like, well, the universe is supposed to work on this pulse, right? Everything is on the same beat. So when something's off beat, but maybe you can also say, well, maybe that's part of why these things are fucked up, right? Why the judges are bad and all these demons here are bad, the marionettes and stuff are bad, is because they're offbeat. I don't know. I can see that
There's
being like a justification. Yeah, you can look at it in a lot of ways.
Speaking of the judge,
yeah,
would you like to meet her?
Her. Oh, okay, yeah, let's go.
Voiced by Jennifer Hale.
Yep, that's the other voice actor who's in everything.
This is the aspect of Vogue.
Okay.
So the fights in this game, all the boss fights, and you'll notice the rhythm is significantly faster.
Yes, yes.
You were hearing Blood and Law by Michael Stan. Again, Dark Tranquillity.
Mm-hmm.
Blood and Law gets several reprises throughout the game. It is the main boss theme. That's sort of been a negative other people have discussed, is that they think all the boss music is the exact same music, which it isn't. But they are all reprises of Blood and Law.
Right.
So, you know...
Makes sense. I mean, that's not unusual for video games and stuff like that. Like, if you... Fable is one of my favorite games, but a lot of the music in that uses either straight up like melodies or motifs from just the main Fable theme, which was written by Danny Elfman, I believe. So I wouldn't say it's unusual to, like, you know, do different variants on a piece of music. And if it's still different for every boss, then I don't have an issue with that. Cool.
Something I couldn't point out real quick is that boss might have seemed to go by fast. I know what I'm doing.
You're getting a lot of headshots, I saw.
Secondly, whenever you beat a level, if you unlock anything, it shows you here. So we've unlocked the next stage, Stygia. One thing I couldn't point out in that boss fight, which I will try to point out next time, is they have a quote-unquote ultimate attack.
Right.
Where they have a secondary bar that fills up underneath their health bar.
Mm-hmm.
When filled up, they stop what they're doing and just hit you with some Hail Mary attack.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be multiple times throughout the fight.
Oh, okay.
So that is something to keep an eye out for. For her, it was just a wave of slow-moving projectiles because this is the first boss and they're not trying to ruin your day.
Right. We've got a short little break here. So Lexi redeemed random trivia, which I'm starting to think I put it too low of a price, but here we are. All right. Here's my random trivia. Here are the names of all the Eon Productions James Bond films in order. I really hope I get this right now. So we start with Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and then the final of the initial run of Sean Connery's movies, You Only Live Twice. We then go over to George Lazenby with On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then a brief reprise back to Sean Connery with Diamonds Are Forever. At which point we then go over to Roger Moore, who had a very long run, starting with Live and Let Die. He then did The Man with the Golden Gun, For Your Eyes Only, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, Octopussy, not a good film. But you want to see Roger Moore in a really bad circus getup. Oof, what a film. And then the final Roger Moore movie, A View to a Kill. And that brings us over to Timothy Dalton, who only did 2 films, but they're both very good. He did The Living Daylights, and then the least Bond movie, License to Kill, which is more of an 80s action revenge movie. It's really good, though. So after Timothy Dalton, we go over to Pierce Brosnan. And so we have, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, with a great villainous appearance of Jonathan Pryce, who did a really good job. It's not an amazing film, but it's decent. Then we've got The World Is Not Enough, bad film. Die Another Day, even worse film. But then that's the end of Pierce Brosnan. So then we go over to, finally, Daniel Craig with Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and then the final movie, which is No Time to Die, which is also not amazing. But that's that. There are also 2 non-Eon Productions movies. We have the 1967 Casino Royale, I think. Came out the same year as On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's a really terrible official parody movie starring David Niven as Sir James Bond. It's a mess. Don't watch it. It's not even worth watching for comedy purposes. It's just not funny. And then in the same year as Octopussy, they did another company, or another dude, the guy who wrote Thunderball, remade Thunderball. It's unofficial, wasn't done by Young Productions, but it's called Never Say Never Again. And it stars, once again, in a very old, very elderly Sean Connery playing James Bond.
Wow.
So there's my random trivia. I think I got all of them. I don't think I missed any.
If you did miss any, I would hope that everybody would spend their time to correct you.
I always get either them turned around in the Roger Moore line, because they blend together for me, those films, particularly The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker, which is just the same movie twice. But I think I got them all. There's usually one or two that I missed, but I think I got them.
Would you like a 2 for the price of 1 trivia as another James Bond trivia fact?
Go for it.
I've never seen a James Bond film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. You need to watch some James Bond films.
No kidding.
There's a reason, it became like... What?
Oh, what was the reason?
I was going to say, there's a reason it became... like the first ever blockbuster franchise.
Yeah.
They're good films. Anyway, you were saying, sorry.
Before we do that, I think now is a perfect time to go to break.
Yeah, we've been going for just about an hour. We're between levels here. So yeah, we'll take a very short 3, 4, 5 minute break, folks. Please stick around. We'll be back very shortly. There'll be ads running while we're away, but do not fret. The ads will be over before we get back, so you won't miss a single minute of anything. So stick around, folks. Hello, folks. We are back, and Max should be back.
Yes, I am.
There we go. Let's get our way back into this game, and I've got to remember...
Absolutely. Now... Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Okay, cool. So this is a good time to show off a bit more of the menu. The codex will actually show you... It'll explain everything that the game has already gone over. Fun fact... Your dash does deal damage. It's like a tackle, which is hilarious. It shows you a little model of the weapons and stuff, which I think is cool. Goes over Fury Boons, or hit streak boons. I call them Fury Boons, same thing. Basically, the higher the hit streak, you start getting bonuses for having that high hit streak. So, for example, when you hit streak of 6, so not messing up 6 times in a row, your Fury gauge fades slower, which is a very nice thing to have. It goes over combos you've unlocked. You can see I, being used to the game, kind of went through a lot of them immediately. Shows you a little snippet of the Hells. And in the Bestiary, it goes over enemies, and it gives you... You can't spin it around, which is the thing I would love to be able to do to get a full, like, appreciation of the model. But it shows you the enemies, tells you a little bit about them. Like, those strings go somewhere, but where, even the Red Judge can't say. It's the Marionette, basic enemy. Yeah, they're... Yeah, I don't know how well they're going to appear on stream, if at all. Sometimes in a level, they're easier to see than others due to just the color of the level. Here's the Cambion. This is your shooter enemy. Surprisingly beefy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kinda cute for a demon. No, it isn't. Yeah. And then here's...
Hey, I always forget something. Thank you, Julie. Just been talking to myself like a lunatic. Alright.
Oh!
Making whole points. It's all good.
Okay. Here's the behemoth. You get a real appreciation for his size here.
Yeah. He's a big boy.
You know, he's missing his arm. His mouth is jawless. That gigantic hook. I love it.
Big ol' hook.
Big ol' hook. Well, one thing... Oh, here's the aspect of poke. one thing that this game does get a little bit of flack for, and I am not opposed to it, is the bosses being a little samey in terms of their physical design. You're going to see it by the time we get to the second boss, and you'll understand what the whole shtick is between the bosses. But head with wings is a good way to put it. While we're here, a good thing I'd like to show for appreciation, all of the enemy silhouettes are incredibly different.
Yeah, that's an important thing in a lot of games.
Yeah. The reason I say that is that gives this game, in my mind, points over another game that a lot of people really enjoy. And I'm gonna. This is. No,
do it.
Ready for a hot take?
You give us that hot take, Queen. You can do it.
I do not like Doom Eternal.
Oh.
Yeah, Doom Eternal, in my mind, is an inferior game to Doom 2016, and I can give you good reason.
All right.
It is meant to be a game that is, I feel, best applied as a focused design style of game, and it became so loosey-goosey in Doom Eternal that I think it lost the ability to play as well as Doom 2016.
Okay.
And when it comes to enemy silhouette design, which I was talking about before, there are too many very similarly silhouetted enemies in Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge knockoff for a game, or knockdown in terms of like scoring if you were going to do it like that.
Sure.
To the overall enjoyment of playing the game.
So, I think it depends on the game. For starters, before I go into like my take on this, I think some games you can definitely get away with it. However, in games like this, and I actually haven't played Doom Eternal, but I have seen gameplay of Doom Eternal. When you're moving around so fast, you're often not going to get a very good look at what it is you're actually shooting at. So it's important to make enemies as distinct and obvious to see as you can, so that players can properly prioritize and choose which targets they're going to choose if they need to dodge away. So they can what's the word? They can balance threats, right? They can kind of recognize what's going to be a bigger problem, and so in a fast-moving game, either very distinct silhouettes or alternatively very distinct colors can help you recognize these enemies, and that can be much harder to do if silhouettes are more homogeneous, less distinct.
100%.
In a slower game, you can absolutely get away with it. How many? Let's look at, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, right? How many unique silhouettes are there really?
Right. Yeah.
But it's a slower game. You don't need to. You can look at the enemy and go, oh, okay, I can see this dude's got a shotgun, right?
Think of a JRPG real quick.
JRPGs are very varied. It depends on the game.
I'll say, for example, the one I'm most familiar with, which is Dragon Quest.
Okay.
They reuse enemy models in that game all the time.
Sure, but yeah, that's a pretty standard thing. In a game that's going to be 30 hours long, and there's going to be fights constantly, you're going to run out of designs.
Oh my god. That game is like 150 hours long, actually.
Depends on the Dragon Quest, but yes.
I'm specifically referring to Dragon Quest 11.
Right, okay.
I know it's 150 hours because I did it in like a week and a half. Oh,
jeez.
So here's your level select. It's album covers. I love that. If you go to a previous level and click on it, you don't just go straight into the level. Or actually, yeah. You have torments, which is effectively ways to buff your character as you play. I'm not going to be doing them on the stream because, like, they're good to do. If you are struggling with rhythm, for example, killing with rhythm, it tells you, oh, you complete it by killing enemies on rhythm. That makes sense. Weapon trickery. Every time you kill something, it swaps to a different weapon. That makes sense. So they help train you to, like, play the game.
Yeah.
Not at all necessary. All of them are very nice. I'm not going to go through them because that does add a little bit of... We can do it by the end if we end up beating it.
Sure.
It's like, there's enough time.
But hey, Stygia.
Yep, Stygia. So here's your loadout select screen. Over here is the sigils that you get from doing the torments. Just go ahead and ignore this half of the screen for now. You got to equip one gun. or 2, depending on the level. And you can click over here to actually give you a little bit of info on it. So, Paz, the pulse of the universe. Terminus, the unknown's blade. Persephone, Queen Death. Love the name Queen Death. It gives you a bit about stat-wise what they do, and it also tells you what their ultimates are. I'm going to hope to show off the sword one on this level, because I think the sword one is my favorite one.
Okay.
And for good reason.
I told you she'd sing again. Killing that bit of the judge gave her some of her voice back. Gave us both a chance to get back what we'd lost. Rip it from the judge a piece at a time. Judge didn't much care for that, though. So she called up the strongest devils to her throne. One after another they came, to form a council of war, they called it. Now, whether the council believed in us, in the threat we posed, truth is, not yet. We were still nobodies in Hell's eyes. Bottom line was, they were dealing with something angry. Something that was coming for them. And something they did not know how to stop. Before anything, the judge wanted answers. You see, some poor devil once told the judge that he destroyed this old skull, ground him into dust. And, just so we're being clear, that old skull is me.
Uh-oh, Malachi.
Hell 101. Lie, but don't lie to the judge. You gotta be done for that. Then again, this joker here, well, let's just say somewhere a village was missing their idiot. Nope.
This damned soul, the unknown, shall be your only war. My aspects will guard the other hands. She must never be allowed to reach the throne here in Shore. Never.
Yes, I see she's prepared her army of end-level bosses.
Yes. Yes. Malachi, damn, he's my favorite character. It's a shame he's only in here for one cutscene.
Yeah, it is interesting that they named him.
Yeah, right?
I remember this place like it was yesterday. Wish I didn't.
So if you've played the demo, this is the demo level.
Okay.
And now would be a good time to talk about the people that actually made the game, the Outsiders, and changes they made from the demo to full release. The demo used to be incredibly focused on just getting a high score streak above everything else. So the higher your streak by the end of the level, that would almost directly determine how high your actual score was throughout it. You got points for doing other things, sure, like, headshots, slaughters, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to spend the 40 minutes of dull time shooting just with Paz, which does do the least amount of damage, and slowly and meticulously going through every enemy like that, you would be rewarded with the high score by quite a big margin.
Okay.
Needless to say, they fixed that, and they fixed it in a way that is very well.
Fair enough. Just quickly, Burrito, thank you so much for the subscription. No, keep playing.
Okay.
Burrito, thank you so much for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the show. As for romance options, no, I don't believe there's romance options, but, you can... It's hell. No one's gonna chastise you for, looking at a demon's booty, right? So you see those, those marionettes and those nice lean bodies they've got, you can objectify those fuckers all you like. The romance options are on other websites. Yes.
Yeah.
What is life if not video games' third romance option?
All right. Are you ready to see why this is my favorite ability in the game?
Go for it. Okay.
You just swing the sword around really
Right,
quickly.
yeah, and
It's
it ups the rhythm at which you can attack.
Yeah. Now you get to the other great gun in the game, the dualies. They are very good. This area in the demo, absolutely love it. They rebalanced quite a bit from the demo.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play the demo, I believe you're going to still be playing on the old version. Things like the amount of score you get from certain things has changed. Certain enemies get killed for like different amounts of score.
Yeah.
Every level in this game, I will say, one thing I love about it is it doesn't waste your time.
All right.
It's a pitfall a lot of the games like these fall in, a lot of the fast-paced shooter games where you're playing a lot, you're getting new weapons, you're seeing new enemies, you're getting new abilities, whatever the case is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after a point, you kind of stagnate out a bit. You plateau, that would be the term. And you're just kind of left on what you have for a while. Or in the case of like Doom 2016, you get more secrets to keep unlocking your stuff. This game does not have that. There's not really a plateau stage where you have everything that isn't the final level.
Okay.
It doesn't waste your... I say this in a very good way. I don't think the game wastes your time. Every level introduces something new in some way.
Right,
and
okay.
only after you accrued everything do you go for the end.
Sure, and then you can, start from the beginning again, but now have this whole new arsenal of things to play around with.
Absolutely. Which is one of the most fun ways to do it, because you go, oh man, my score that time put me at spot, like, 3,700. I wonder if I can break 3,500. And then you play it and you're like, I went top 2,000 with that? Like... It's a very fun experience, and I think it's rewarding, not necessarily to get the number 1 slot, but, oh, hey, I'm number 2,000 or whatever. That is significantly better than the last time I played it and whatnot.
Sure, I mean, yeah, at that point we're getting to, like, the appeal of score attack games, and I think maybe that's something it's worth kind of tackling now, is that being, I think, a fairly central part of this game, being that the score's always there on screen. The game is trying to encourage you to go for high scores and stuff. And that's... I don't want to say reflected, but I think in a way it's being used to help... I don't want to say this in like the shittiest way possible. It is something that helps make up for the fact that the game is relatively short. Let's not beat around the bush here. This game is 4 hours long.
Yeah, 4 hours, I think, is how long it took me to beat it my first time through.
Yeah, so if you're looking at this game and you're thinking, hey, I really like this game, it's also fair to say, God, but I wish there was more of it, right? And while this game has replay value, as we've mentioned, I think if you're not the kind of person that is super into going for high scores and trying to perfect their runs and stuff like that, this maybe a game that you find yourself enjoying, but ultimately maybe a little disappointed with, in that, you've only got so much time out of it. If you're not the kind of person that wants to keep replaying the game, then maybe not a whole lot here for you.
There is one thing they've recently added to help that.
Okay.
Custom music.
Alright.
You can load the stages with your own music if you want to.
Mm-hmm. I think that stuff absolutely helps. But again, that kind of goes back into, again, if you're not the kind of person that wants to replay the same levels, right?
Yes, that is fair.
Because it's still the same level with different music. Now, if they made like a level editor for this, that would be really cool.
I hope they do. I really hope they do.
But
because that would really help it.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, when it comes to like how long I'd say this kind of shooter game typically is, you usually expect like at least 8 hours these days. And, you know, we can look at something like, I don't know, Wolfenstein, The New Order, right, which was, I think, like 11 or 12 hours. And I want to put the caveat here. I'm looking at this from not necessarily the point of the game, you know, is it worth it or whatever. Only you can decide that. But the length of a game does not in any way represent its quality, right? This is a relatively short experience, but if it isn't obvious, this is still a high quality experience. This is a good game. This is a very good game. It's it's not my kind of game, but it's one that a lot of people love. It's one that Max obviously loves. This is a really good game. The only reason I bring up the short length of time is that as a value proposition for an individual, for a person who maybe has limited amount of time or limited amount of spending money, right? That is a question they have to ask themselves, right? Is that something that they're happy with? And you know, it's a fair thing to bring up, even if it's critically not the most important thing, and again, not representative of the quality of a game. It's something that does affect some people, and I think it's important to bring up.
100%. I think that is a very fair point. I think the biggest complaint about this game has been that it's not like a 10-hour experience like people were expecting it to be, you know?
Yeah.
In terms of like just the story on its own.
I mean,
right?
yeah, like, I mean, I know again you're not the most representative person for this, but how long of an experience for the average person would you say BPM is? Because that's this game's biggest competitor currently on the market, right?
BPM,
obviously that's a roguelike, so it's different.
It's very different because it's a roguelike. You can beat, like, you can go start to finish with a character in that game in 20 minutes.
Right.
You know? But the amount of times that you're going to be playing it, you're probably looking at maybe 50 hours for the average person. I think a friend of mine who I recommended the game for, who liked it a lot, not super into shooters, not super into rhythm.
Yeah.
But they were kind of interested in what the in-between would look like, played it, and they got, I think, 30 hours out of it.
Okay.
So, and that's not to say you couldn't get out of this in a way that's meaningful. I have 45 hours in this game.
Yeah.
And it's been out since September. Yeah.
So just over
with
a month.
Work and playing other games.
Yeah.
See, now, you see, she's different. Her head is concrete with rebar.
But it's still, I guess that's another downside, I guess, is that, yeah, there's not a lot of variety in at the very least, the visual design of the bosses.
Yeah.
They do
it is a downside.
samey.
They play very differently from one another.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate for the hounds.
Okay.
That's the pistols.
Yeah.
It's a double that shoots at nearby enemies. Now, one thing this level did introduce that I entirely glossed over was the Stalker enemy.
Okay.
It is a very aggressive enemy. You will see them again in this boss fight. So, if you happen to miss it, don't worry. You'll see it. Bosses are a bit bullet helly, if you couldn't, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some sort of shoot 'em up DNA in here with how this boss is designed and the way it's like throwing patterns of projectiles at you.
Different areas in this level, by the way, are hazard zones.
Okay.
These grates,
Fire?
sometimes they electrically charge.
Oh, electric, okay.
There's the Stalker, little green guy right here.
Yeah, I guess that sort of fits in with this whole level's design, right? Being a sort of contemporary city.
Yes. This area lights up. There's that bar I was talking about earlier that charges up those attacks underneath.
Yeah,
the
just
health.
below the health bar, yeah. Also, I like the little reload imminent note that comes on the screen when you're about to run out of ammo. So you know that you're about to start a reload animation. Which, in a lot of games, can be important. In this game, it seems incredibly important.
100%. You almost can't look at the ammo pool sometimes because you're like very focused.
No, you have to look at the middle of the
what's
screen
immediately in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's where your eyes naturally go when you're shooting things in front of you.
100%.
Yelm.
Yelm. The Hounds. And new streak boon, which is faster ultimate gain.
Okay.
That's just something that's always on, so don't worry about that if you're like, do I have to turn it on somewhere?
Yeah, you don't have to like pick and choose the boons. You just get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I think it would be a nice addition if they made that change. If they like could do different kinds of boons for those, but you get those from your torment buffs. So that's It's like you have one always, you have one that you pick, so it's a combination thereof. One thing to point out that I also glossed over with Stygia. With the music in this game,
yeah,
when there is a singer mentioned, that is the only singer for the song. All of the growls that you heard in Stygia were all Alyssa White from Arch Enemy. That's the same person. I mentioned that because that's incredibly important for Yelm. Because oh boy, would you be surprised? So, here's an interesting thing. The weapons that introduce a new weapon to you, you can only bring in one weapon. After you unlock them all, you pick two to bring into the level that you're going into. Prior to that point, if a weapon is going to show you or if a level is going to show you a new weapon, you only get to bring in one to pair with it.
Okay.
Doesn't matter too much, because at this point you only have the shotgun and the dualies, but with the next weapon we unlock, you'll see why that's a little silly. Well, what would you rather see, more shotgun or dualies?
Man, you know what? I'm old-fashioned. I love seeing a good shotgun and a shooter.
Bet. I can bring a shotgun.
Well, it went the way the judge didn't want it to go. Stygia fell. The unknown got back more of her voice, and I got back a bit more of what I'd lost. Power, yeah.
So killing all these different aspects is giving the unknown her powers back.
We're not just killing the aspects, we're actually destroying the hell entirely.
Okay.
Hell steals your memory. No one remembers what they were down here. Or if they do, just enough to make them suffer. It was all coming back to me. Judge sent every scholar into hell to see what they could learn about the unknown.
This prophecy appears to be dubiously relevant. The hells will fall when an archangel is slain at the infernal throne by a Hellsinger. Tell me, Hierophant, are Yelm's armies ready? They are. Good. We shall prepare the ritual of spears. Even if the prophet sang of her, we shall prove the prophecy false.
I'm sure that's always gone well historically.
Yes, of course. You know the whole deal. Like, you can never. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You can always fight back against prophecy. Never once has that ever gone bad for anybody.
No, no, never.
No, never. One thing to note there, and something to point out, if for those that might be able to put two and two together, yes, we will roll credits because they said the name of the game, Hellsinger.
What is this? Some kind of metal Hellsinger?
So there's a
Ground
prophecy that the Hellsinger will kill an archangel on the throne. I wonder what that devil with a capital D is.
Gabriel?
Yeah, David,
No.
Oh, okay.
Not. You're a little too focused there. It's
Okay.
It's a little nod to what's gonna come.
Okay.
Of course, but this has one of my favorite songs in it.
Well, the smart money is probably not on us, but who don't love an underdog?
And again, levels have different beats.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This
I mean,
one's
it wouldn't be
significantly faster.
wouldn't be much of a rhythm game if every single level had the same beat. Oh gosh,
Here's
champions
the new
with
enemy.
shields.
I hate these enemies. These are the shield champions. So, the idea is you want to strafe around them from their shooting side.
Yeah.
They have more health than regular champions. And, if you shoot their shield, you just, it ricochets off. You deal no damage to the thing.
I think it's a shield of some kind. So, we've noticed that every level has had different theming. The first level proper was the snowy mountain peaks, fairly desolate, not a lot of not a lot of like visually going on. And then the second level, on the previous level, we had a much more urban, more contemporary appearance with everything. And now we're into something that looks kind of like the Middle Ages or like late medieval. We've got like church
Gothic,
spires.
if you will.
Yeah, Gothic. That's that's actually a very good word for it. We've got these arches, like these ruins of, a building that once was like an abbey of some kind. Actually, it looks. And I think it's interesting how they've kind of, they're going from theme to theme. We're seeing actual like trees here, right? We're seeing nature.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, especially with all this fire.
Wait until you hear this level has a garden.
It has a garden.
Yeah.
That was right. Persephone was a good pick. Thematically.
So, what the shield enemy is here exactly, the shield cambion.
Yeah.
Because you might be like, oh, it's a cambion with a shield. It is.
Yeah.
It is also an elite enemy.
Okay.
Elite enemies are a variant of a regular enemy with a distinct change. That being the shield and higher health.
Eyeless wobbles out, puking ass.
Here's a new regular enemy, the Eyeless. Just a fly. High priority enemy.
Got to deal with those like immediately.
They spread gas all throughout the stage that will
Oh.
slow you down and hurt you. Ooh, I wonder what this is. Could this be
crossbow.
a new weapon?
Unknown picks up Vulcan. Breaker of soul.
Vulcan being... Oh man, so Vulcan is the Romanization of the Greek god Hephaestus, god of the forge. So he makes the weapons of weapons of the gods, and sort of who I guess a blacksmith would worship.
Yeah. So the whole thing with this thing, it's the rocket launcher.
Okay.
Its ultimate fire stuns enemies and sucks them in. It doesn't do damage because it's not just a bigger explosion, which I actually appreciate.
Yeah. I think what I appreciate here is that they called a weapon Vulcan and didn't do the obvious thing of just making a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, those of you who don't know, there is a real gun called a Vulcan. It's a 20mm cannon that is strapped to planes, and is the basis for, like, the minigun that we all know and love and stuff. So it's usually, if something in a video game is called a Vulcan, it's very often, a multi-barreled machine gun of some kind. So I appreciate them using, like, the name Vulcan here, because they've been going with a sort of theming of, like, Greek and Roman gods here. Greco-Roman, what's the word? No, it's gone. Forgetting words again. But yeah, the pantheon, there we go, like a Greco-Roman pantheon of gods for the names of the weapons. So I appreciate that they did go with something called Vulcan, because if you've got weapons in a game, it makes sense to call something Vulcan. But not just make it the obvious thing that, like, everyone does in video games when he calls something a Vulcan.
I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
One thing with the Vulcan, and one thing with other weapons in this game, is they all shoot in a kind of timing that makes them very effective. Oh, thing I love. Something the game did. Introduces the most annoying enemy in the game, the shield enemies. Gives you the answer.
Yeah, that's always a great thing in any game, and when they do that is... we were talking about this yesterday, but when a game presents you with a problem and then makes you appreciate the difficulty of that problem, and then provides you with the answers to that problem. So it's like, hey, you know how difficult that enemy was, that you had to get around him, you had to, worry about them, that enemy was a serious threat. Here is a good way for you to deal with that threat. Which is good, because then, they introduce you to the tools with which to solve problems. and encourage you to use those. So now you can see the value in Vulcan here. Are these shield enemies a big problem for you? Take Vulcan. That's the game has tried to communicate that to you in as efficient a way as possible there, and it does a good job because it doesn't spell it out right. The game doesn't say to you, hey, use Vulcan against shield enemies. It doesn't, because it doesn't need to. It uses the natural sort of language of like, players are gonna pick up this weapon and use it, right? Players are gonna attempt to fight shield champions with it, and they'll learn just through gameplay that is how that works. And I like that. That is efficient design.
If this game is nothing else, I think it is very well designed for what it introduces to the player.
Yeah, it seems pretty tight.
Oh, on the topic, by the way, something I forgot to mention with the elite enemies. There is a second sort of thing about them that makes them different to normal enemies.
Okay.
You saw it earlier. I didn't point it out. The shield champion has an attack that causes a ringing AoE that goes out in the beat of the music, right?
Right, okay.
That is not unique to it. That is unique to elite enemies, and they all do it in a different way. So we'll see that as we go through more. But yeah, it's gonna be become a bit of a mess later. Oh, and remember that garden?
Yeah.
Second death garden, and hopefully the other folk are gonna be doing the dying.
So I can understand why they didn't do this, but it would be really cool if, like, for areas like this that are very unique, they made like thematically relevant enemies, right? Like you could, like, not even like their abilities don't necessarily need to be different, but from a design point of view, it would be cool. Like, hey, we're in this garden area. I guess we've got the flies, but the flies are going to turn up later anyway. But like we could get marionettes that have branches on them or something, right? Or something like that to show that this is like a garden themed level. It's not necessary, but I do like that kind of thing in video games. And when every level in this game is thematically different, so at least it seems so thus far.
Yes.
It would be interesting if the enemies themselves could also represent that theme in a way. Again, not necessary, but just like something that would have been cool.
Now, one thing to talk about when it comes to the music of this game, because we're talking about design, I think the music design in this game is fantastically done.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't take a song, put it on another level, and have it make sense.
Okay.
And I don't just mean, like, any music at all. They have custom music for a reason. I mean, the same song on this level would not mean the same thing as Stygia. It's a little hard to tell with the ones where they're growling a lot, because I know not everyone is, like, accustomed to listening to that. I mean, there's a reason why on the Discord there is literal discourse of what some song lyrics actually are.
Okay.
Which is my favorite thing. But the lyrics are telling you what's going on in the story as you play it.
Right.
Stygia was all about, I'm calling out to you, calling out Paz as the singer, which, because his voice is her voice.
Yeah.
That when he first saw her, he's singing for her.
Yeah.
He's basically a simp.
Okay.
He's a big fan.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Sure.
But that does mean all the music is accustomed to that level for the story that's going on. There's going to be a part later on, I believe it's the level after this one, where that's going to show very well. Oh, hello, fire. I walked the wrong way.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want answers too, after that flash I saw. Was just hoping I'd get them before the unknown shanked all the hell in the process.
I think when we're talking about the music being used as a tool to tell the story as well, I think it's interesting because obviously PAX is
Paz.
Paz, sorry, not Pax. Paz is the clear and obvious narrator here, right? Obviously, it's the story is being told from his point of view, and this is taking notes very much from games like Bastion, for example. And well, what's the dev studio that made Bastion called again? I'm just gonna look that up because I will really hate myself if I don't mention their name because they're great. Supergiant Games. Supergiant Games have made a point of this in all their games, but Bastion's the one that's most known for it. Is the ongoing, they made Hades and such. Yeah, with the ongoing narrator throughout, and it kind of talks about your gameplay and stuff like that. Paz here isn't quite as dynamic as that narrator. He's not narrating on the moment-to-moment gameplay, but he's still, as a storytelling device, he's still there, and he's sort of talking about how things are from his point of view. And effectively expanding on that with the music, I think is a really interesting take on that. Because it's still from his point of view, it's still the story as it's going, but it's sort of a different element to the story, and it's stuff that you have to pay attention to and listen to in order to get. Which, in this game, you're often not going to be listening intently to the lyrics, just because of the nature of the game. But, if you want to go back and actually pay attention to it, you get a little bit of extra value there. A little bit of extra insight into Paz, I suppose.
Yes. And I thoroughly love that. The whole shtick of Blood and Law is that you're fighting, the judge.
Yeah.
I wonder what Blood and Law might have to do with that. One thing I like about this game as well, there are specific... I don't know if the term is motif. I feel like I'm being an asshole when I say motif.
Oh, yeah, just say what you mean. And
Yeah. There are specific parts of the song that are made so that when the player plays the music, it ends up lining up very easily with the actions that you could end up taking.
Right.
So you'll see sets in like 2s or 3s, breaks in music that end up coming in back at like specific rates of like 2 beats or 3 beats.
Yeah.
And what it ends up doing in terms of musical design is it really makes you feel like you're the one that's actually playing the music as you are going along.
Okay. I never really saw that as important. Sorry, yeah, go on. No, carry on.
No, it's a tiny note. I forgot to mention it earlier. In a boss fight, lyrics never go away.
Right, okay.
Just so you can enjoy it all the way through. You can't go down to 1 times multiplier and then lose the music.
Yeah.
Just something I forgot to say earlier. What were we going to say?
I forget.
It was about specific musical notes lining up correctly with what you do.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken that as like an intent behind this game, I guess. Like it's if we look at rhythm games in general, right? Traditionally speaking, rhythm games do want to evoke that sense of you playing the music, right? Things like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, OS. There was even that game I played on stream during the Next Fest.
The little Radish Warrior game.
Yeah, the little Onion Warrior thing. Yeah. It
was Onion, not Radish.
Yeah, and like so every time you like take a step forward, it's on the beat. Every time you attack, the sound of the attack and the sound of the enemies attacking added like diegetic elements to the music. Like they were very much incorporated into the music, which I really liked. When looking at this game, that is actually one of the things that I don't personally get from it, but I'm not playing it, right? Right. It's you playing it right now, so I think it's interesting that it's a very personal, subjective thing you're going to get with this game. Is that what you felt is that that you're affected, even though you're not. You get that feeling of your actions are working in tune with the music, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's a feeling that I was following this entire game's development for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That is a specific feeling that they meant to invoke heavily.
Okay.
When they were describing it, they were like, yes, in Doom 2016, because of course this game is obviously inspired by Doom,
There's
right?
a lot of that in this.
The guy who made it literally said, he's like, my main inspirations were Doom and Rock Band.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. But I think it's interesting how it ends up actually feeling in the game compared to like Doom. When you compare it to Doom, it's like, oh yeah, that felt really good. My glory kill lined up with the music there really, really well. So it was like or whatever, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And they said, how often can we put those parts of the notes in the song?
Okay. Yeah.
So as you just act out, it plays more into it. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So this level, we're going to get a new weapon, and this is going to be the last weapon we unlock.
Okay.
It's not a gigantic roster of weapons, as you might notice, but they all fill very distinctive, different ways of playing. So I don't necessarily mind it being not the biggest of rosters.
So you have your base 2 weapons, and then 4 on top of that. So yeah, six is a fairly limited roster. Not having got my hands on this game personally, I wouldn't be able to say how restrictive that feels. It depends on the game. I definitely do know of some games that suffer because of a limited weapons roster. But yeah, I mean, like, again, how do you feel about it in general?
I don't mind it. I think the way that they end up laying it out is pretty simple. Paz is your always guy. He keeps you on streak. There's actually a dedicated button to swap to Paz.
Yes.
That isn't just one, it's Q. You hit Q, you pull out Paz, because after you like complete an arena, you're going to be walking to the next one.
Yeah.
So pull out Paz, make sure you don't lose your streak. Cool.
For sure.
The sword is a surprisingly strong melee weapon, and the fact that it does really solid damage on the swing down means that you can kind of like prep it for big attacks on small groups of enemies.
Yeah.
And then you sort of get into the weapon design of this game in terms of a function. I kind of think of it in 2 ways: crowd control and range. All right? These 2 are generally really strong, and then the Vulcan and the next weapon we're going to find are specifically really strong. So it's not the best weapon for every situation, but it will be good. Like at what it does.
Okay.
So this is the best weapon generally for like crowd control because it's a gigantic explosion, right?
Yeah.
Something to note with when it comes to enemy design in terms of like health. I'm very used to the health system on Hellish where the enemy health actually increases, which I think more solidifies what these weapons are really good for compared to the normal difficulty.
Okay.
Like playing this game, I'm not saying it doesn't feel imbalanced at this, but it feels more balanced for Hellish, which is the harder difficulty, or not Hellish. That's BPM Beast Mode.
Right.
But from that last level, right, as you get weapons, right, the shotgun, the level you get it, you meet the Cambion. One shot to it will put the Cambion to the part where you can slaughter it on this difficulty. The level where you get the dualies, you see what they're really good for, doing consistently high damage to one big enemy.
Yeah.
That level, you start seeing like behemoths a lot and stalkers a lot, which are beefy enemies. This weapon, you get the shield guys, and you get the bug boys, which are the eyeless.
Yeah.
And this, with I think both its shots, will put the eyeless to the slaughterable state. So it's very interesting to see how well they were able to put together, okay, this is how these weapons are going to be introduced. Here's the enemies we're going to introduce them with, and here's about how often you're going to be shooting. I don't know. I just think it's really nice.
Yeah.
So the Hells took another hit from us. Bloodied their noses, we did, but Judge wasn't ready to take us seriously yet. Which I guess is fair enough if you are the ruler of the Infernal and unaccustomed to taking the big L.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Nah, she was planning to hit back. And hit back hard. Now, the ritual of spears was supposed to bind the spirit in perpetuity. At least that's what they was hoping for.
No.
Let me tell you, that was not the.
I think that was the first take.
It's not just yeah. I see what you mean by also the writing not necessarily being the tightest, maybe.
No.
He's coming through. No. Oh, okay.
No!
No.
That really a Red Scroll moment right there.
Oh god.
This is This Devastation by Matt Heafy, and I think this is
So it was back to the old drawing
I
board
think this
for
is my
good.
favorite song in the entire game.
Okay.
He went so hard on his vocals for this.
Mm.
Oh my god. There we go. I haven't double slaughtered yet?
No. Yeah, that was your first time.
Yeah. His singing is absolutely fantastic for this game. I remember in the interview that he did for it, he was talking about it, and he's like, it's always been like something I wish I could be a part of, was being a vocalist for a song in like a game, and he just felt so honored to be a part of it, and it was so great to see, because
yeah.
he seemed so excited for it, and I don't think they let him down. I really
No,
just...
I'm really enjoying this song. Guess that's another question to bring into this. Metal as a genre, while it's something that you and I both enjoy, let's be real, it's not for everyone. Do you think that folks who like rhythm games and will maybe be interested in a rhythm shooter may feel alienated by the obviously very metal-heavy soundtrack here?
I don't think that's going to be the only thing that ends up alienating people who are a big fan of rhythm games.
Okay.
I think that's the other. Is that this isn't just a rhythm game. This is a very good blend of rhythm and shooter.
Mm-hmm.
If those aren't two games that you, generally speaking, really enjoy or find a good amount of enjoyment in, this isn't going to be your kind of game.
Okay. I mean, you're kind of touching on like the reason why this isn't my kind of game is I'm a huge fan of rhythm games. I really enjoy them. Maybe don't play them as much as I'd like to, but I do very much enjoy rhythm games. Like, I'll pick up and play Guitar Hero a couple of times a week, and then I'll play it for as long as I can before my fingers start turning on to fire. Really, I'm gonna get like awful blisters on my fingers if I keep going. But and I love FPSs. I have played probably more FPSs than any other genre of video game, and I've played a lot of video games. So for me, I mean, Max, you keep playing, just keep going.
I was just, we're warning you, new enemy.
Sure. That's the Hierophant. Yeah. But yeah, so like, you'd think, and I would think, that rhythm FPSs would be perfect for me, because I love these two genres. And I haven't played Metal Hellsinger, even though I technically do have access to it, but I have played BPM, and I had to say it wasn't for me. The whole thing felt just incredibly limiting, I guess, to me. Mm-hmm. I like a good amount of freedom in my shooters, and BPM, in a lot of ways, does give you a lot of freedom, but the fact that I had to time everything to this beat meant that I didn't always get to do things the way I'd like. And I'm always a big fan of like really trying to push a shooter to its edges and see what I can get away with. And games like this explicitly prevent you from doing that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so while I'm not going to speak ill of Metal Hellsinger because I haven't played it. It would be completely unfair. I can only comment on what I see here. I can say that BPM at least gave me a fairly bad taste in my mouth when it came to rhythm shooters as a genre for me, I guess.
That's fair.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I'd like to be able to enjoy these games, and I'll probably still give this a go because, as I said, I have Game Pass, and this is on Game Pass, so if you have it, give it a go. But yeah, I think that's my issue with rhythm shooters, personally speaking, is that the sort of limitation on when you can attack and how you can, in some cases, how you can attack also kind of don't gel with me, I guess, and the way I like to approach shooters. But anyway,
yeah, no, that's entirely fair.
Yeah.
So real quick, we've gone over a few things. I know you were talking about that, and I will not say at all like that this game is going to be for everybody, right?
Yeah.
I think that is one thing that I appreciate about its design, is that it wasn't made to be a game for everybody. There are people that are going to find the game, love the game, and those are the people that the game is made for. You know?
Absolutely. Games don't have to be for everyone. Ask any fan of a Souls game. they'll scream down your ear how the game isn't for you if you don't like it. But in a more serious note, yeah, games don't have to be for everyone. And if you have an audience or you just have a design that you really feel married to, then go for it. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes, such as this case, it really does work.
Oh yeah. So more into the physical game as to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
You remember how this cutscene showed the ritual of spears failing?
Yes.
Part of this like song literally is like, for lyrics, was your ceremony in vain?
Okay.
Again, there's more to it as to what they're saying, but I love that you could really understand what's going on by listening to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Just as much as you could tell by, playing the game.
Sure.
So we saw the Hierophant as a new enemy. Say hello to the Siege Behemoth.
Ooh, okay. These are some big horns.
Yeah. I think they're comically large, but in a good way, because it really helps you distinct them, make them distinct apart from other enemies, especially the other behemoth.
Mm-hmm.
The Hellcrows are everything that the dualies are.
Yeah. Kind
of cranked up to 10, minus the range.
Right.
So you don't reload. They come back to you after you use them. They shoot. They shoot in threes because they return to you. So 1, 2, space 1, 2. You can throw them like that.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw or heard the music. That right there was a point I was talking about. The lyrics kicked back in as I was doing my act. Oh my god.
You okay?
It's a little hard to play and talk at the same time.
It looked like you were trying to go for a slaughter there, but it just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going by my own voice, and I was not talking in rhythm to the song. So Siege Behemoth, the Hierophant, the Hellcrows, that's everything introduced in this level.
Hellcrows also have a lot of pierce, I see. They go through enemies.
Yes, they have infinite pierce. The thing that stops them is their range.
Right, being fairly limited.
Like, they only go so far.
Yeah.
So you can think of them like rather than it being high every shot, they're kind of like the shotgun in terms of range, but kind of like the DPS of the dualies.
Actually feels like they have more DPS than the dualies.
Yeah, that wouldn't be inaccurate. So Siege Behemoth, let's see if I can make him do his big attack. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. The ring's going out. Okay. And then, yeah, there's more of that sort of shoot 'em up design mentality coming in there with the slowly moving out ring and stuff like that and the projectiles.
Yeah. So the Hierophant does a few things. You've seen basically what the Siege Behemoth is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, kitty cat. Please.
A wild pocket has
We're in the middle of a show. No.
Did you not give her the brief?
I did. I don't know what's wrong.
So unprofessional.
I know. So as you see from this level's design, very like, I guess I'll say Middle American-y in terms of like,
Mesoamerica,
Central
yeah.
America. Mesoamerica,
Yeah.
Aztec-y, Mayan-y. I don't know exactly what it would be, and I don't want to sound offensive. Armies of Hell.
Okay.
You see a few of these around. Now, one thing I'd like to point out while we're going through...
Can we just look at one of those faces on the wall quickly?
On the wall? Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, yep. Confirmed what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
They have a third eye.
They do! I didn't even notice that.
Just like you and Paz.
I know you're going to dock this against this game, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So get ready. It's something I actually don't dock it for. I kind of praise it for. There's no secrets.
Okay.
In terms of, like, there's no collectibles, there's no hidden areas, there's nothing like that in the game.
Alright.
Now, I know that's a big dock against games like this for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is, because it helped them not get lost in the idea of, like, oh, we gotta make every area as explorable as possible.
I mean, I'll say this. I don't know why you thought I'd dock it. I completely agree with you.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were going to be totally against that.
No. I think secrets can be a fun thing in a lot of games, and I do really enjoy that kind of thing. But remember what we said at the beginning, right, about this being a very focused game?
Mm-hmm.
You're always trying to push forward, like you know, this is a rhythm game, right? You're always kind of doing things around the beat. If you're just fucking around in one room, hugging the walls, trying to find a secret, you're not really kind of doing what the game was intended. In other games, it's nice to have that breather. This game doesn't need it. I think this game gives you a little bit of reprieve between like the individual arenas, but also the levels aren't super long, you know. So like, it's fine. You don't need like the sort of secret hunting kind of gameplay in this game. I don't think it would benefit it at all. If anything, I think it would only seek to dilute what is, again, a very focused experience.
It's one of my favorite reviews for the game that you've reminded me of. Wow. It's so crazy that this metal album came with a game.
Yeah.
In that a lot of it feels incredibly metal. Not metal as in it's the most hardcore thing around, but metal as like a genre of music. It's not just that the music in the game is metal. It's all the weapons either are a skull or have skulls on them.
Yeah.
It's very thematic in that sense. This fucking demon girl taunting me, the other demon girl. Oh, here's the Hellcrow's ability. It's a big AoE. It shreds through enemies.
Cool ability. I think, again, a small little note, I don't think the visual effects of that ability looks too great.
No, it doesn't.
This is always a very good looking game, but that feels almost out of place with how like kind of corny it looks.
Yeah. I will say this is not a AAA game. This is 100% an indie game. Anyone.
I'd maybe put this more into like the AA sort of region.
AA?
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it's got the production value of a AA game.
It very well could. A lot of the fucking actual, what is it, budget for this game?
Yeah.
You'll not be surprised to hear a big majority of the budget went to getting the singers.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're in the last section of this fight, I think. Good thing to note. Yeah, the boss fights all play out like shoot them for a bit, and then fight enemies for a bit. Some of them have crazy wicked attacks like that. Yeah, this is sort of in terms of the bosses, this is where like a difficulty curve comes into play.
That was a spike.
Yeah, my first time playing through this game, this was where my first death was.
Okay.
I know that for a fact because that boss level is, oh boy, dodging that can be quite a bit of a pain. New level unlocked, Gehenna.
All right. Do we want to take a little quick break here?
I don't mind.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna just take a very short 2 or 3 minute break here. I just need to refill my drink and stuff, stretch my legs because I can feel my butt getting numb. So
I can feel it too.
so yeah, we will be right back, folks. Stick around. There'll be a short little ad break while we're away. Don't worry, the ads will be over before we get back, so you won't miss a thing. So stick around, folks. Hello, folks. We're back once again.
Yes, we are.
Ooh. And
You'll never believe what I got when I stepped away.
Ooh, what's that?
A snack.
A snack?
Mm-hmm.
You cheeky bitch. What did you get?
I would love to share this with everybody because I didn't know these existed.
Okay.
I think I actually told you about this the other day. These are pickled sugar snap peas.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
These are so good. Oh my goodness. Let me tab back into the game. There we go.
Just a little note though that I find interesting. I think so. I have my music set to play it in a random order, not even shuffle. It will be completely random, so it can even play the same song twice in a row if it's feeling particularly shitty. So what I find interesting is I mentioned when it came to the narration and stuff, I mentioned Bastion as a good example, right, of a game that used narration to its strength. And I think during that break, we just had back-to-back Bastion music. There are only 2 tracks from Bastion on this list: Bin the Breaker and Spike in a Rail, and I think it was just those 2 they just played.
Wow.
Which is a fun little coincidence. So let me get the game up here now.
That is very silly. So at this point in the story, we, aka the Unknown, aka the Hellsinger, in case you weren't following along, have just slain and destroyed Voke, Stygia, Yelm, and, excuse my pronunciation because I'm going to get this wrong, Incostus?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Incostus? Very fun level, by the way.
Sure.
Very great music. Love it. The Hierophant, I didn't talk about it. It's like a ranged attacker that summons... they don't have an official name. They're basically marionettes, but when you kill them, they explode.
Cool.
Yeah. And now we go to Gehenna, which, if you're following along at home, is just over the halfway point.
Yeah, we're probably going to just run this stream until you finish the game, to be honest. Unless it really starts to run long, I think. We normally do a 3-hour stream. This one will be about 4, maybe.
Okay.
It seems doable.
Yeah. And so now you see we have the full arsenal, so we can equip 2 and take whatever we want. Now, personally, I'm a bread and butter kind of guy. I like the shotgun with the pistols because I'm very, basic. But
yeah.
I do love these other ones as well. So for the time being, I know what level this is. I'm going to bring the 2 that you use with both of your hands.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking. In fact, Hell was thinking it too. You can't lose that bad 4 times in a row and think winning is in your future. Everyone was starting to think the same thing. The unknowns, the Hellsinger, so on. But what would it mean? Maybe the unknown takes the throne of the judge. Maybe worse. No one was sure. But that memory of mine about her, that flash, made me sure about one thing. The Owl wasn't going to be able to ignore us. Things had gone too far. And when things go too far in hell, well, then it gets complicated. I knew the end was coming.
My orders are to safeguard the Hells, so I must do the unthinkable now.
tell you this. Whoever said hell's other people never
Ah.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm picking up what the game's putting down.
You think so?
I think so.
Do you think? I mean, I still think they don't worry about us at all here. You know, they're not at all scared of the unknown or anything.
No.
No,
definitely don't want a devil in charge of hell.
No. Well, it could be that.
Hmm.
Could be other things.
Okay. To me, it seems like an angel came down and took over hell, but...
Unknown didn't seem worried though. Me? Yeah.
Okay, that line's actually really funny to me.
Crazy the judge would call on heaven, right? 1,000 hells to Marshall and she turns to the all.
So that's a really good point. That is the last named character, the All.
Okay. So we've had the unknown, has the Red Judge, Malachi, of course.
Malachi,
and the
don't
All.
forget Malachi.
Can't forget Malachi. Malachi was robbed.
In fact, he was... Well, I think the term is actually killed, but you know.
He was killed, yeah. No, you're not wrong.
He had a bit of a kill issue.
All I'm saying is that a village is really missing its idiot right now, and whose fault is that? It's not Malachi's.
100%. So, downside of the Hellcrow's ability...
Sorry. Lexi just said Malachi took a major L.
Sanctimonious heavenly avengers. Demons
Thank
and
you,
angels
Lex.
on the same side. It was awkward.
Yeah, like that. Do you really gotta say it's awkward, man? I don't know.
So go on, so tell us about Seraphs. We just saw one, but we kind of glossed over it a little bit.
Yeah, so that is a very strong enemy in the game. We're gonna see a few in this arena, if I remember correctly. But, which I do. But basically, they are angels sent down to fight. These aren't just Seraphs, these are lesser Seraphs.
Okay.
Now, the thing that makes them so dangerous is it's sort of like a damned if you fight them close, damned if you fight them far.
Okay.
They have a very strong laser attack. That right there.
Holy shit, yeah. Okay.
And a big AoE.
Oh, okay.
So effectively, you have to find a middle ground of maybe sometimes hitting their AoE attack and then being able to dash out of it, or being far, far, far away so you can dodge to the side their laser attack. I'd like to point out, on the higher difficulties, you start fighting multiple of them at once. Oh boy, is that one rough! They become absolute nightmares on there.
Leave the angels and demons dead behind her.
Sorry, Lexi. Lexi's commenting on how much she hates angels, and then she mistakenly said, "All my homies hate angles."
Honestly, all my homies hate angles.
I mean, to be honest, hating angles is kind of what you should do. He was not a good person. Engels was a very bad man.
I can be your angle or your denim.
No.
What? I think it's appropriate.
Do you know who Engels was?
No idea.
A Nazi.
Oh! You know who did not see that one coming?
Oh my god. Yeah, you fucking... Okay.
So off that side, though. Yeah, angels are the new enemy introduced in this level, and yeah, they are a bit of a strong enemy. I'll say that. They're not technically an elite. Elites are variants of baseline enemies in this game. But oh boy, do they know how to mess up your day. And I think at this point it would be a good point to start talking about something that I didn't discuss earlier when I mentioned that I had, seen a lot of the stuff, the promos for this game, the interviews in advance, right?
Yeah.
So this is something you might find interesting.
Okay.
The unknown is half demon.
Right.
It's not...
Oh.
God damn it, I fell. If you fall in a pit in this game, you get sent back to the start of wherever that most recent spawn is and lose a streak. Oh well. They only describe her as being halvesies. They don't ever tell us what the other half is directly.
Mm-hmm.
It is somewhat implied.
Right.
By somewhat, I mean a bit. But it is interesting to note that you are not just Demon Chick who is mad, because you, as shown off in the intro cutscene to the game, likely came from heaven?
Okay.
So, it's just an interesting angle to think about. I don't want to... I mean, I guess we said we're going to talk about spoilers, right?
Yeah, spoilers, absolutely. Bring it on.
Yeah. There's a very good chance that you are the... there's a specific name for it. I forget it off the top of my head. The idea is half angel, half demon, and your whole shtick is you're going to just destroy the universe.
Right, okay.
Which would explain heaven's fear of us,
Yes.
and hell wanting to lock us away and stop us.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that one thing about prophecy is, like, you try to avoid it, you end up...
Yeah. So, I'm going to correct the record here, because I did just make a mistake, and I realized Engels, I got mixed up. There was a German general called Gerhard Engel. However, Engels specifically, with an S on the end, was actually a socialist philosopher. I got it mixed up, which is my mistake. Gerhard Engels, probably based. I don't know. He could have been a dick. Not a Nazi, though.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate in this game of hell and whatnot that if I were to run into a Nazi or something like that, you know? Not an angle ironic. Not an angle I've ever thought of was... In hell, you mostly just see demons and whatnot. You don't ever see, like... Don't usually just see, like, the bad people that ended up there, you know?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
This is where the game is also ramping up in difficulty in stages.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 stalkers at once, alongside a wave of enemies.
So,
yeah.
Something... Obviously, this is a very movement-focused shooter, right? There's a lot of flying around and moving and shit like that. How often are you finding yourself... Or especially, like, when you're a new player, how often did you find yourself getting caught on the scenery?
I think as I've played more and gotten better at the game... Ironically enough, I think I've been getting caught up more. When you're new to the game, you kind of see the very obvious, oh, I can jump from here to here, right?
Yeah.
And then you do. But when you're, like, more experienced, you go, I wonder if I can jump over... Oh, look at that, I can jump over that. Wow, that's so cool, and I can use that for, like, tech or whatever.
Yeah.
And you start, like, experimenting more, and by doing so, you find that there are some places that you can just end up getting caught, or you get a little too excited on a jump, and then you just find that... Ah, I made that jump short. Oh my god, sucking. My apologies.
How dare
everyone's judging me.
How dare you suck?
Now, right there, I showed it a little bit. That's the first time I've done it this stream.
Mm-hmm.
You can... It's a bit hard, and you have to line it up in advance. but you can do a double slaughter in 3 beats. Normally a slaughter is beat 1, activate the slaughter, beat 2 is the kill, right?
Right, yeah.
You can do it to where the beat that you slay 1, you start the slaughter for the next, and it makes a really fast action sequence.
Yeah. Sorry, for a second there I thought the game audio cut out, and I was like, uh-oh. But no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It was just transitioning.
This area, by the way, I love this. It's like a gigantic... It's falling into the previous level's design, but
Yeah.
it's all night, so there's 3 moons, there's sand everywhere, more specifically than last round. I really like the way this level looks.
It's very pretty. I do like it a lot.
And this is, I think, one of my favorite actual boss fights of the game. Because it's over a pit of lava!
Oh no. This is very video game. Are those individual squares gonna fall away at times?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Guess we can argue that this is part of just like, like the fact that I saw that and I recognized immediately, hey, that's what this is gonna do, is an interesting thing in video games, that there are certain tropes that are unique specifically to video games, are a part of the genre as a whole, right? And seeing perfectly square tiles rise up over lava immediately tells me these are gonna fall away. It's just a weird thing about sort of the language of video games, I guess. Or like how they communicate
Here's the
that to
attack
us.
on this one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's sort of like hard to dodge.
Ooh. You took no damage there. What the hell?
You can touch lava in this game without taking damage, but if you stay on it, you start taking damage.
Okay.
You're a demon and all. You're cool.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's why you can dash through fire, but not stand in it.
Right.
From the previous boss.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the exploding marionettes that are made by the Hierophant, which means there's one around!
There he is. So I guess the exploding marionettes are kind of like elite marionettes in a way?
Yeah, in a way. I think it'd be cool if they found them, if you were able to find them on their own.
Yeah.
I think that would be great, but I understand why not. That would be a bit weird, because you can't slaughter them.
Right,
They're not slaughterable enemies.
Interesting.
So here's where the crows are great. They can double hit if you're hitting just at the end of their range.
Okay. So, on the topic of like this game being like a score-based game, is there a time bonus at the end?
Yes, there is actually. And one thing they took away from the demo is that if you take too long, it can go in the negatives.
Oh, okay.
So being too slow to try to like eke out a high like streak can just leave you dead on score.
So that's another element that would kind of run. It would be incongruous with like the inclusion of secrets and stuff.
Absolutely. This chaos still remains. I'm sorry if I don't have a lot to say in this very moment.
No, it's all good. Hey, dude, you're playing a game, it takes a lot of focus. You don't need to apologize. Playing games and talking at the same time is hard.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, it's just like, I want to keep talking about how much I love the music in this game. Oh my god, it's so good!
I think it's only the second time we've seen you use that ultimate.
Yeah. I love the ultimate. I don't use it very often. It's sort of
Right.
hard to find a good spot to use it in. It leaves you very vulnerable.
Okay.
It's risk-reward.
Nile.
Nihil, or Nihil, I think they say. I forget which one it is.
Okay.
Potato, potato. The level itself is my favorite level.
All right.
And I think you're going to see why as we get into it. It is significantly faster than all of the other stages.
Okay.
At this point, oh, I just want to show you. I'm going to swap to the shotgun, and
Okay.
to show it off, I'm going to go back to the crossbow.
All right.
Vulcan. The Hellcrows, by the way, so dubious in the way that they show their stats, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, what are they just what are they just worse than the fucking hounds?
Mhm.
No, they go through enemies and come back to you through those same enemies.
Yeah.
I think it's a little dubious.
Yeah. A lot of games really struggle to properly communicate what their weapons actually do just through some bars.
Yeah.
Angels coming down and shaking loose something big in my mind. What were flashes before had become a whole damn memory. Rushing in, bright as fire.
Now I silence you, lost soul. Your music belongs to me, and me alone. You shall never rise as the Hellsinger as long as I rule.
Thing is, something was off. I mean, Judge said everything, but it just didn't sit right.
No, I do not fear the prophecy. Does heaven? You lie. But for the sake of the hells, I will believe you. Now, lend me your aid, and I will put this upstart in her place. In the name of the hells, I subject myself to dissolution.
Back then, my mind was still too foggy to see what was happening with heaven and the judge. But what with the angels showing up, that story about some character known as the Hellsinger defeating an archangel didn't seem so crazy to anybody anymore.
They made her sad looking.
Oh,
How
no.
could they make the Red Judge sad?
She's so sad.
Now, I will point out that this stage does introduce the last new enemy in the game.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it is a doozy of an enemy.
All right. Let's see it.
So we're back into a snowy area.
It's my soil work. Okay.
Have mercy.
Yes.
You were in.
Love soil work. Absolutely fantastic. Bjorn does a really good job. And I think his nickname is Speed.
Thing is, we really didn't know.
Yeah.
Against me.
This level really shows off how fast the game ends up getting at times. I will say, I've been saying that a lot. One thing to add, haha, forget to say that, is that the music in this game, I know I keep talking about how great it is. I know people that are listening to the soundtracks that are like, yeah, I don't play the game, but I mean, it's metal, and it's like a really good kind of metal, because it's a blend of newer metals, a little bit more classic-y kind of metal. Not like old, like AC/DC classic metal, but...
Try that one again, bud?
Sorry, words are hard right now.
No, it's because you called AC/DC metal, and I was like,
Would you not say that?
More like hard rock. I'd say, like, if I'm looking at, like, old metal bands, I'd look at, like, Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden, stuff like that.
That's fair. Metallica.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one with metal in its name. Yeah. It's a lot more newer metals, I'll say.
Yeah.
Though Serge does bring in a very good, when we get to his track, he does a good spin on it. So this arena, a little silly in my mind. It's all marionettes, except for that fly.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think it's just let you, like, go ham for a little bit.
Sure.
Here's the new enemy.
Okay.
Void Stalkers. Yeah,
oh, he attacks like an elite as well.
Yeah, he is the elite.
Okay. Oh, right, he's an elite version of a stalker. Right. That makes sense.
One thing to point out that I didn't mention before with stalker type, or not stalkers, but elite type enemies. The ultimate abilities don't work as well on them.
Interesting.
So Paz's ultimate, which I haven't shown off yet, which I will do as soon as I can now, because it is quite majestic.
Also, I want to make a note. Earlier you said, oh, you know, the slaughter distance in this game, not super far, and you just crossed an entire fucking chasm with it. And I'm like, no, it's pretty far. You do not get to say that the slaughter distance in this game is short after that. Oh.
So here's what Paz's ultimate can do. We get a good enemy for it? Oh no, hang on. I want to show it on a really big enemy.
Okay.
It crystallizes them.
Ah, okay.
Red barrel enemies.
Nice.
That doesn't work on elites.
Interesting. Okay.
So you can't use it to get around shields, you can't use it to deal with the siege behemoths, and most importantly, can't use it on the void stalkers.
Alright, so yeah, it means that you do actually have to deal with the big enemies rather than trying to, like, cheat around them.
Yeah. Now, damage dealing ones will still deal with them, but the ones that absolutely, like, stun them and prevent them from doing something,
Yeah.
that being both Paz and the crossbow, do not stun.
Okay.
And so in this next part of the song, see, you're tripping up. See how I'm tripping up on this? Yeah, that's my fault.
Okay.
In this area, you're going to hear a part of the song I love, where it's not just the growly parts.
Okay.
And it's going to sound, it's going to sound different. It's going to sound special. And it's telling you, again, more about the story that's going on. I absolutely love that part of the song. His voice really just fucking shines in it.
Yeah, it really comes through.
I'm so happy with the artists they end up getting in for this.
I mean, yeah,
I can't
think
understate how much they make a difference for the overall feel of the game.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
This whole game has been a very good just showcase of, as you said, just a brilliant metal album that happens to have a game attached to it. Like, it is very good.
And it feels like a metal album. It's like,
yes.
What are you? You're a half angel, half demon, fighting angels and demons. Oh, hell yeah, I am.
This is a pretty rough room.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were really throwing everything but the kitchen sink now.
Question. Do devils
Yeah.
have a kitchen?
We haven't seen
And then
one
from
yet.
that, if devils don't have kitchens, where do they get kitchen sinks from? With which to throw?
Probably Home Depot, if I had to guess.
Okay, yeah. If there is one thing that will definitely be in hell, it's Home Depot.
You are, as someone who used to work there, correct.
Laws of hell. Whatever the judge had done.
Now, I will say, one thing I specifically like about this level, and something
Yeah.
I've talked about to others before, is I love the broken pyramids kind of vibe with this.
Yeah.
It serves twofold part. Number one, we've gotten past the area where you would like typically find pyramids. You could see this as like the outskirts of those regions that we've then destroyed.
Okay.
But more importantly, in my mind, we're in a very snowy region. Think like
We are.
Antarctica.
Yeah,
Antarctica is a desert.
it is.
Still pyramids in the desert.
Oh my god.
I just like that. It's really little.
I thought you were going to make a point about like the game coming full circle and ending on snow as it started on snow.
No, I mean, I could say that, but that would be like a valid point. So here's the gimmick with this boss.
It too.
It more than two,
Oh, it's
and
split.
You'd better have been paying attention to what the skulls looked like on the previous judges. Would you like to
Oh.
know why?
Why? Oh, I see why. Never mind. Because the other ones are going to do the abilities of the previous judges.
Yes.
Ah.
I don't know if you remember Stygia's, where it makes that gigantic line of them.
Yes. I do.
So we're only dealing with two
That's the one with
right
the rebar
now.
in its head. Yeah.
For those who might be struggling with this boss in the future, one hot tip I can give you, bring the hounds. If you're struggling to find out which one is which, the hounds will always shoot at the correct one. Shooting at the incorrect one deals no damage.
Oh, with the ultimate, you mean?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
ultimate.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have made that clear.
Because I was just like, wait, why would the guns only shoot at the right one? But yeah, no, the ultimate creates a clone that shoots. Yeah.
I say this is one of my preferred boss arenas, because it's like very minimal on the actual like verticality changing and whatnot, but it's enough to make it not feel samey.
I think on the boss design point as well here is another way that I'm kind of able to discern them from each other is the actual boss of this level is all blue, all ice. So her head is that same color. All the other ones are going to have a brownish colored skull.
Yes.
So that kind of helps as well.
One more. What are we doing? Yes, we are.
Or a greenish one in this case, I guess.
This would also be a good time to point out that the bosses don't take any extra effects from ultimates unless those ultimates are just doing the damage on their own. So
Right.
you can't crystallize them with
Yeah,
Paz or stun them with the crossbow.
Seems reasonable. I mean, crystallizing a boss would be kind of broken.
Yeah, you don't say? Now, I will say, I feel like I'm breezing through this area, and that is, again, because I'm used to playing on a higher
Yeah, you
difficulty.
played
But
this
I
a
also
lot.
want to be able to talk while I play.
Yeah.
the point of this is that I can tell you about the things I like.
Oh yeah, if anyone's going to be coming to the stream hoping that we're going to be playing these games on max difficulty, you're going to be disappointed. Like, it's important.
There's that attack.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, it's important that we play these games on like a reasonable difficulty, so that we can talk about them as well. So like, if I was talking about Halo, I normally play Halo games on Mythic. I probably wouldn't do stream in Mythic though. Or at least I wouldn't do an episode of this show in Mythic. I'd do like a normal stream in Mythic.
Yeah. That's a different thing entirely.
Yeah. But the important thing here is the critical dialogue rather than the rather than the sick skills on display.
Yeah. So this would also be a good time to point out one of the criticisms I have for the game, not in that it's doing poorly, but something I feel that is lacking, right?
Okay.
I feel like they're going very concert metal kind of feeling in the game as you play it. I mean, you have like the actual pillars of fire rising up. I would have loved to see the boss arenas accompanied by actual... I don't know how to say this other than like an actual concert of like demons like in the wings cheering
like
on
an
the
audience.
fight.
An audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
think
that
could have been a very welcomed addition that is not here. Understandably why. You could argue... Oh, there's 4 of them at once? Oh my god!
You're okay, bud. You got this.
No, I'm not.
It's fine.
You think I got this? Please. Head is weak point.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better. This show's not got an audience. You're fine. No one's looking at abject failure if you do. Do slow.
Listen, I know Alexa will be judging me through and through. Now we get Acheron.
Acheron?
It's Acheron.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, they call it Acheron. In fact, if you want to know how I know it's called Acheron, let me show you. In the description, every level has a description, so like Stygia.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of spiritual electricity, if you take the meaning, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering how Acheron is pronounced, Acheron! I know, we learn something new every day.
Fair enough. I think I was mostly getting it because of the old MMO Acheron's Call, and everyone pronounces it Acheron. That's why I assumed it was pronounced that way.
This could be a potato, and both are correct, but I wouldn't know.
I don't know. It probably is Acheron.
It might be. So
even the disillusion didn't. Me and Unknown, we were at the top of our game, and it looked like nothing could hold us off.
She's so pensive.
One more trick in their book.
say again?
She's so pensive.
I know.
I considered that before. But their bond is too strong, and it will weaken me greatly. I suppose I have no choice any longer. By the All, I invoke the curse of dispossession.
So, the judge took me. Had to happen, I guess. Honestly, I'm just surprised it took her so long. You know how before I told you I'd started remembering as we beat the judge's aspects? Well, see, I used to be someone else. Maybe you guessed. An angel. I wasn't the middle management rank and file type neither. No, sir.
My God.
On the right hand of the All, singing hallelujah forever and a day. My gig? Be the instrument of the All. Not to judge, but to see and hear and give voice and praise. Boring, huh? I hated every song I ever sang up in heaven. All but one. Hers. change it all. So I got myself cast down for the unknown. Boy, I tell you what, that took some doing too, but that's a whole other story. I waited an eternity for her. Kept my mouth shut. Became, well, this. I guess I figured if I had to be an instrument, I was gonna play what I loved. Which would have been fine except for one little thing. Yep, that spell. Judge had me now. She's gonna find out everything I knew and everything I didn't even know I knew.
Mm.
So earlier when I called Paz a simp, I wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
He literally is like, if I can't be with my queen, I'm just gonna get cast out of heaven.
Oh my god.
This was Acheron. Gears and cogs. Machinery of damnation. She's in the right spot, only, well, without me.
So rather than introducing a new weapon or a new enemy in this level,
Take Paz away.
they take Paz away.
On hiatus.
And as the first time you play through this level, you really feel the difference of, wow, I can't keep my streak as high in between these these arenas. It ends up making you play it a little bit quicker, which is, you know, intended design for how the levels are meant to be played. It's like, just go through them, beat them, come on, nerd, right?
I'm loving the very industrial look of this place.
Oh yeah, I love it. This was I believe they showed off part of this level at the Gamescom in Germany.
Okay.
And at that same Gamescom, they they did a concert for this song.
Oh, okay.
With a bunch of the singers for the game. It was fantastic looking. I believe this is one of the... Oh no, it was Poetry of Cinder that was there. That's right. So like this song right now, again, if we're taking it as Paz singing to us, telling us what's going on, he's telling us, meet me at the end of the river. Meet me at the end of the river in Acheron. Like, so what are we going to do? Say it with me now. Go follow the river in Acheron.
Wait, what?
I think it's supposed to be like the river Styx.
Right, okay. I mean, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I suppose it'd be on theme. But surely the river Styx is at the start of Hell, not the end of Hell.
Well, it goes through it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess.
And if we were to take it from the Divine Comedy route, we are kind of climbing out of Hell if you consider, you know, Styx is at the beginning of Hell, Ice at the end of it. We were in the frozen purgatory at the start of the game, you know? Which does make me think about how other things might line up. I don't know how precisely they would line up for everything, but when you do the torments, they actually tell you what, like, specific, like, devil ruled over the hells, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm curious if they line up in the reverse order to the Divine Comedy, because if that was like a route they were kind of going with, you know?
Yeah.
Something I could check out later in my own time, because... Or we could check it out later at the end of this, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That enemy just spawned on top of you?
What? No, that was my,
Oh, right, yeah, that was your ultimate, okay.
No trains run here. Not ever. The tunnel's so dark and deep, ain't no one ever come back.
little secret right there.
So, like, I guess, I haven't listened to the album. These levels are about 15 minutes long. Give or take.
Yeah.
How long are the actual songs? like obviously we've talked about how it's dynamic and it's sort of the soundtrack changes, as you progress. But like on the album, like how long would this song be? Like 6 minutes?
I think they're all about 5 to 6 minutes long.
Okay.
I want to say 6 as an average. I know there's a few of them that are longer, but 6 is like a good, about average.
Yeah.
And with there being, let's see, there's the 8 for the actual levels. There's little snippets showing the reprises of the boss fights for the other boss fights. I think it's 3 different reprises we end up having, and they're all about. They're like a 2.5 minute snippet of that level.
Okay.
Then we have the spoiler alert. The final boss uses a different theme than the rest of the bosses.
Interesting.
In case you're wondering where Serge Tankian puts himself. I would like to add something I didn't mention earlier when I was talking about controls. You can do any number of actions as long as they don't like counteract each other at once.
Right.
You can dash and shoot at the same time. You can shoot. Dash and shoot at the same time. You can do reloads and shooting at the same. Not reload shooting. Reload dashing at the same time. I'm thinking about shooting and dashing right now because that's what I'm doing a lot of. So pardon me there. But you can do multiple actions at once without it canceling each other out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's been fairly evident in the gameplay.
Yeah. Just in case it wasn't.
Yeah.
I know some people don't necessarily see that kind of stuff. I think that gives you a lot more options in what you do.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that shield Cambion really making you work for it.
Shield Cambions always make you work for it. I don't like them. They're mean. Also, the river they might be talking about, just because I listened to the music, it might not be the river Styx.
Okay.
Because in the song it talks about just Destiny as a river, aka Destiny's River.
Yeah.
So it might just be talking about that when it says the river's end.
Okay. What the hell?
Again.
Seraph
It's music, it's up to
win.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Enemies can deal damage to other enemies in this game. I don't know how self-evident that has been, but they
no,
can
I hadn't
with
noticed it.
explosions.
Okay.
You have?
No, I haven't. I hadn't noticed it.
It's subtle. It's only with enemies that like cause an explosion. So like angels are a good example.
Right.
Angels will deal damage to all things nearby.
Feels thematic with angels fighting alongside demons.
Yeah. Yeah, it does actually.
I think but I'm assuming there's no infighting, right? Like
There's not infight.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk up on a group of demons fighting. They all know who's the real problem here.
Right, but like, so for example, we're looking at Doom here, although we're looking at OG Doom here. If like one enemy in Doom hurts another one, they'll start fighting each other because it's the one that just took damage is like, hang on, wait, I just got damaged. That thing is now my enemy. And that's how that works. But I'm assuming, yeah, that doesn't happen in this game. I'm always a big fan of infighting in games, and it's sadly quite rare. Although it was more common in the early days.
Oh, get ready to hear me complain about Doom Eternal. Here we go.
Oh no.
The Doom Eternal infighting is absolute horseshit. Let me explain why.
Okay.
None of the enemies
Wait,
deal any fucking damage to each other.
Oh really?
So you can sit there and watch an infight, and it'll just keep happening as long as you as the Doomslayer don't interrupt it. That's dumb as hell. They're fighting each other. Let them kill each other. Like, what? I understand that it might be like, oh, well, if you wait around, that means that they're just going to kill each other and the encounter is going to be a little bit easier. Oh, yeah, what am I going to do with one less imp on the start of a round? Ooh, golly.
I think the reason we don't see infighting as much in video games is it's very hard to balance, particularly when there's a lot of enemies going at once.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as we see here, enemies can damage each other with explosions. Now, what if every enemy could hit every other enemy with every attack, right? It kind of gets out of hand. It's, you know, it sometimes works. You know, in Hunt Showdown, as an example, enemies can hurt each other, but it's never intentional. You're not gonna see an immolator start fighting an armored, but they may accidentally swing and hit each other. Or more, what is most common is meatheads swinging and hitting another AI.
Yeah. Honestly, with the new well, actually, let's talk about this game. Fuck
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I was about to talk about, like, oh yeah, you know, the new Hunt thing. We're getting into the last arena here, which is when the game really likes to show off how tough it wants to be on you.
Mm.
Hate these shields. All right.
Waited ahead. After that, you judge yourself.
Those iframes coming in clutch there.
Oh, you having frames?
No, I said those iframes coming in clutch there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he used it to, like, negate a Seraph explosion.
Yes. And this is an area of industrialization I really like in the level itself. And with the theme being wheels and cogs and whatnot, I think it's really good they're actually used as platforms throughout the level.
Right, okay.
It's not just, you know, ah, yes, the industrial place with wheels and cogs, and then you never see one. You know?
I mean, okay. I don't know how often you've been to industrial places. It's not often you see big old cogs.
No. But damn it, this is the hell of with the cogs in it. Show them. You know?
Sure, yeah.
It's something I get mad about with media in general, and it's like, this is going to be about this, and then it's about it for about, I don't know, 2 seconds, and then the rest of it's just whatever it wants to actually be about is there. It's like, okay, you could have just branded it a little differently there, buckaroo.
Yeah. Buckaroo.
Yeah, you know, we're an archangel, cowboy, totem, demon girl, part angel thing.
Sure.
Darn tootin'.
Sure.
I do like that the barrels, being the chaos crystals in this game, are not just placed frequently like red barrels are out of the way, where you kind of have to coerce enemies to get near them.
Yeah.
They're like nice and right in the middle of the area, ripe for shooting.
For sure. I mean, I didn't quite mention it like specifically earlier, but I do like that the, again, quote-unquote, red barrels of this game are not actual literal red barrels. They did go ahead and actually design something specific to like this world, rather than just going with, you know, that thing we see in every video game. Barrels.
True. For as video gamey as this video game is,
yes,
it's a nice
it is.
touch.
Yeah.
Did the unknown feel how big this was? Hell, I don't
Now, I know I said earlier there was a different boss that was my favorite boss fight in terms of like the aspects.
The fuck is that
This
thing?
one is a close second, and you're gonna see why.
Can we just... Yeah, can we pay attention to that thing in the background for a minute?
Oh yeah, that.
What, that?
Yeah, look, it's her.
Claim the skull if you can, and finish your song, because I am ready.
Some big fucking War of the Worlds fighting machine just hanging out in the background.
Yeah, it's doing its thing.
Uh-huh.
That's a visual bug that happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you noticed it. One revolver does the animation for the reload. I think it happens when you miss the last shot, as like in terms of like the beat.
Okay.
Not exactly sure what triggers it all the time, but it's very silly.
I mean, it makes sense if everything has to be to the beat, and the reload animations are very married to the beat, right? They can't be separated because the whole early reload system is reliant on that beat. Then you have to make the animation match up, right? So if you do something offbeat and then reload, I can see how it would mess up the animation.
Yeah.
Timing.
Luckily, it only seems to happen for the dualies.
Okay. Oh. Ooh.
It's okay. I'm fine.
Map is mildly nauseating. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of turning and spinning and stuff, and I'm assuming if you were to stay still, things would just move on their own.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
This level can be, a little silly.
Max does have the FOV turned all the way up to, which should hopefully reduce nausea induced by the gameplay, but yeah, I can see how
My
this
apologies if anyone does get nauseated? Nauseated?
Nauseous.
Feeling nauseous. I'm gonna focus on dodging this attack. Yeah, taunt me with the skull, why don't you jerk? I do like how they make the red judge just taunt you a lot.
Yeah. Trying to throw you off your game, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to tilt you out.
Get you angry. Oh, your ally told me everything? Yeah? I'm gonna tell you about bullets.
Did he tell you about my boot up your ass?
Hey, let me
Because
tell
it's
you
coming.
about this fucking digigrade foot. I'll shove it straight up yours. It's true. Her feet are digigrade. Score 1 for Wiki Feet.
Oh no, no. So
When
anyway,
actually-
folks, we're running a rat fleet. If you just put an exclamation mark unknown feat. You... no, we're not doing a giveaway.
No.
No.
High res unknown. And there's a fun gimmick with this fight that happens part of the way through. I think it's after this fight of enemies. Oh, I totally flubbed that one up. No, but when it does come to the Unknown's design, I think I can put into better words compared to earlier.
Okay.
She's very asymmetrical. Her horns aren't the same length, though
Yeah.
they are, same number of horns on each side, right?
Yeah.
Her arms are really long and lanky, and her legs make her very tall. She is proportionally very different than most, video game protagonists as you would see. She kind of looks like silly in that respect.
Okay.
But it's something I greatly appreciate because it brings such a uniqueness to the design on its own.
Sure.
It's something that can
stylized,
be greatly
it's a
very stylized.
And you can even say maybe it's exaggerated to an extent, but yeah.
Exaggerated would be the words to use. It didn't switch the direction of the cogs, I thought. Or it might have been, I just didn't notice. I think it actually did. Whoops. New level, Shoal. Shoal.
Like Shieldred?
Yes. Like Shieldred.
Yeah.
You fucker. Piece of shit. Shield.
Okay.
This is the last level of the game. And we're cranking it up now.
Only 3 hours in. You got there pretty quick.
Yeah. This is not going to be the average playthrough. The average playthrough is going to be, you're going to go through it. Whatever your stopping point is, you're going to find it. And then you're going to go, okay, let me go back and do those torments. You're going to do a few torments, go, I have some more tools, go back and try it again. And you're going to be better at it, or you're going to go through more torments, and that's kind of what it is, you know? But I really, really, really think that the fact that it isn't too long of a game, it does give you the option to pick it up, play a level, put it down, and then go do the rest of your day.
Right.
Because this isn't something I've experienced. Keep in mind, I love metal, I love rhythm, I love shooters. This speaks volumes to me in every respect of the way it can, and I really, really, really love this game. Right? It is far from perfect. There's plenty of things that are not great with it or wrong with it, but it takes a lot of what's already been shown in the rhythm genre, for rhythm shooter genre specifically, and tries to find ways to improve it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really good that you can enjoy the game in bite-sized chunks, because apparently other people struggle a lot with playing this game just all throughout, like all at once.
Okay.
It is intense for a lot of other people. I forget who it is. It was someone I know was playing it, and basically they said, I have to play one level, maybe two at a time, and then put it down because it gets overwhelming for me.
Right.
Which is very interesting in that it really is, when you're playing on the difficulty that feels best for you, right? Whether that is Lamb because you aren't used to this kind of genre or shooters in general, or maybe you're not used to rhythms and you're used to shooters or whatever. Or if you're like me and you play on Beast because you're like, I love the challenge. Everybody like finds a point where it's like you can play it for a little while and then you do want to put it down, because playing too much of it at once, it's just like, am I getting a headache from all the metal? Is it all of the bright flashing lights?
Right.
Is it everything going on
There's
at once?
There's a lot going on, and you're also having to focus on keeping in time with the music as well, on top of all of this.
Completely.
I can understand how that would be overwhelming.
When compared to something like BPM, which I know you've played but weren't a huge fan of, that game, I will say, does not require as much focus. Like, you can use that, like I did, as a background game as you're just talking to other people on Discord. With this game, it's kind of hard to do that, because if you're playing on the correct level for yourself, you're going, oh golly, oh geez, people are talking to me and I'm struggling to hear them. I'm messing up in my game when I try to. I have to pause a lot. I have to do it. It's not the same kind of thing. Right. So it's just something to point out that this game is intense for a lot of people, and if you are experiencing like, I can't play this game more than one level at a time, like that's normal.
Yeah.
Not even the judge's power could break my bond with the unknown. But Judge was right. I told him everything. Anyhow, the angels came at the judge to put her down like a dog. Punishing the judge for failing, I thought. This was still the judge's domain.
Now I remember. Once I was an archangel.
No.
This is why heaven came here. Fear, not hate. Heaven Let us see how it ends. So come, death.
So the judge took in every damn soul in all the hills. One last hurrah to send us all into oblivion. She was not gonna die easy.
This level is so good. It is beautifully designed as like a generally like if someone's like hell in a video game, this kind of feels like that.
Right. Okay.
Which is a point in this game that I'm going to say like is good as the finale to the game, but overall the game does fall to the pitfalls of being another game that you're shooting demons and killing demons set in hell.
Right.
That will be a negative for a lot of people when
Yeah.
it comes to the full experience of this game. Is
Okay.
it's not going to do anything groundbreaking. But wow, really showing off. You can
Coming in
talk
with the
and play this game
spoonerisms.
at the same time. It's not going to do anything too groundbreaking when it comes to the level itself. The levels look, but God, it's something to be said when a game can feel like the design of the world itself is, by and large, a little generic,
Right.
but still be absolutely a blast to play. And I think the most important part is different,
Okay.
because this doesn't even play like BPM. I'm going to be real.
Yeah.
It plays like its own unique experience, and I can't compare it to anything well. You could use BPM as an example just for the shooting, but the reloading is different, the dashing is different, the jumping is different. It's hard to just state how much I do really think the game does stand up on the combination of the great music, the great game play itself, the balance of the enemies and design, you know? I don't know, I want to sing this game's praises more than it sings
absolutely.
itself.
It's it's a really good game, and I think it works as a good. If nothing else, it works as a good proof of concept for the whole idea of rhythm shooters. There have been a lot of attempts at marrying rhythm games with various genres over the years. There's been rhythm platformers. There was a weird rhythm shoot 'em up where you're playing a shoot 'em up back in reverse, like a shoot 'em up level. So you're catching the bullets that you would if you're playing it forward, your ship would be firing and stuff like that. And that was that was a rhythm game. In fact, rhythm shoot 'em ups. There's actually quite a few of them now that I think about it. But a lot of the time, they either feel like just mainly a platformer that happens to have rhythm there, or they feel like a rhythm first game and there is like another game sort of under there, but it doesn't really matter. This game feels like it does take both elements, right? Both genres that it's meshing together here, and it marries them in a very elegant way, right? In a way that really works.
I would have to agree. And I think one thing to keep in mind, right? When you think of it like a rhythm game, more than you think of it like a shooter game,
yeah,
I think it does something very good that rhythm doesn't often find. And it's gonna be funny. It's something you've talked about before that you don't like from BPM is you feel like you have more freedom.
Okay.
It's the music I'm playing right now isn't just shooting on beat. It is also I am jumping around. That is like a kind of like soaring around, jumping around, I'm slaughtering. It's the things that you're doing off beat that make the things on beat work. So it ends up feeling like it's a big married section, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Metromoon in chat just made a point. They say that the weapons feel great as well. I mean, hell, I'm not playing this, and I can tell you that shotgun looks like it feels great to use.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, this song, if you couldn't tell, is called Silent No More.
Okay. Because she's got her voice back.
I wonder what it's about.
Very subtle. I mean, it's metal, it's not supposed to be subtle.
There you go. But I do love it, it talks about it's like your charity of oppression. Oh yeah, tell me about it, right? Like, tell me how I'm fighting back against the oppression. I want to hear it.
Metromoon, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that the vocals are in all versions of the game. You just need to get your multiplier up to 16, which you can see at the top, and then the vocals kick in once your multiplier gets that high.
Yes, that should be the case.
I'll check Steam. I don't believe there's like a... Are there other versions of this game? No, just not Hellsinger. Yep. Yeah, just need to get your multiplier up to 16 times for the vocals.
The exception being with the bosses, which are always playing at effectively 16 times music.
Right. So this is I really like this arena. The use of the bridge is nice. The lighting in here is moody, but like still clear. Right? It's not too dark, but it gives you the impression of darkness. Right? You can see it. I like the use of colors here. There's actually a lot of, like, for a game that's been very brown and red and white and stuff like that, there's actually a good bit of green in here.
Oh yeah. And one thing that does help with the color in this game too are the like Styx crystals.
Yes, yeah, the health crystals.
That adds more green.
It does.
It just helps environmentally everything sort of connect.
Yeah, because like it's fair to say this isn't a colourful game, generally speaking. And that's fine. That's a part of its design. That's the art direction they went with here. But they did. I've said this a few times, but they've done a really good job of making every level feel thematically distinct. And this still goes into it. You know, we're at the end here. Sure, we've seen stone structures and stuff like that, and pillars and stuff, but this still feels different, right? You look at this and you can go, oh, that's the last level, right? Like even if you didn't have like all these rooms memorized and whatnot, I could probably take a screenshot from any one of these levels and you could probably point to which level it was from, right? Just based on like, the feel and the visuals and stuff.
I think that's a strong part too, is that the arenas themselves are like the layout is very rarely samey.
Yeah.
I can't name any two arenas where I'm like, they feel too similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something they did fantastically, is everything the first time through is going to be familiar in the sense of, oh, you've played shooters where you kill demons and you're in hell.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be so different that you're just going to feel lost and confused.
I think...
The point...
Sorry, carry on, sorry.
Like, the point of it is, it's a very linear game.
Yeah.
So having a confusing style of level would make it less playable,
I think, as well, like, talking about how everything is thematically different and unique from each other. Like, again, you don't feel like you ever get the same experience twice in a row in this game. I think that is something that is helped massively by the fact that this is a relatively short game. If this game was, let's say, 8 hours, right, twice the intended length, you'd start to see, repeats of things, right? You'd start to see something and go, oh wait, I've seen something like this before, or have I been in this arena before? But like, with it being a relatively short game, it gives them they can what am I trying to say? They can make the whole experience different from start to finish without having to go back to repeats and stuff like that. You know, they don't exhaust their options. They don't run out of ideas.
Right. It's the complaint I have, and this is going to be a Doom complaint. So get ready. Here we go.
Oh
no. In Doom 2016, and I think more in Doom Eternal a little bit.
Yeah.
You have those areas where you plateau. In terms of like, I have all the equipment now, I have everything now. Like at this point, even looking for secrets is kind of pointless because it's just a completionist thing right now, right?
Yeah.
You kind of go like, okay, why are there still more levels?
Right.
Like I have everything. Like,
I guess that's heavy for
let me go fight the big bad. I have all my stuff, right? And that might be me just being like an impatient gamer.
You are pretty impatient.
you. About to find out.
Impatient gamer. That might just be me.
Yeah.
I know. I get it. I'm also the kind of person that doesn't like secrets because I go, oh, there's secrets in this game, and I like scour the first level and I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
And then I get in the groove of playing the actual game, and then by the time I hit level 3, I'm like, oh god, I must have missed like 16 secrets. And it's like 16 secrets should not be the number that I miss between levels 2 and 3.
I don't know. It depends on the game. I do enjoy games that have loads of secrets, and I don't feel bad if I miss some because I can fully accept that there's going to be a bunch of secrets I don't find. Let's watch this cutscene.
Sure. His big Goral. My man Serge.
Hell yeah. Yeah, as I was saying about secrets. Oh fuck. You okay there, bud? That's
Yeah,
rough.
Continue, please.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the secrets. I think it depends on the game. Like, some games I will absolutely find a lot of the secrets. Like, one such game is Return to Castle Wolfenstein. It's a really good game. The secrets add nothing to that game, and yet I still go out of the way to find them for some reason. There's like, I don't know if it's because like puzzle games and stuff, but like sort of like being able to identify something and go, wait a minute, there's a secret there, and then getting rewarded for that is a really nice feeling. And Return to Castle Wolfenstein has a lot of that, even though most of the secrets are just points, and points don't actually matter in that game. So it's just it's there, but yeah, I know. I guess that is an area where you and I probably differ a little bit in that I do appreciate secrets because it doesn't take anything away from the game, but it adds like a neat little thing there that you can find if you're so inclined.
100%. I'm not saying I'm opposed to secrets entirely, right?
Yeah.
But what ends up happening when I play a game with secrets in it is I go, oh man, there's all these secrets in this game. I feel like shit for missing all of them as I play along. It's like the completionist in my heart going, I want to be able to do everything, and I don't want to have to look up a guide to do it. Right. I don't want to have to like find all these extra resources just to complete the game.
Would you
that
feel
I want to complete.
less like shit if the game didn't tell you that you missed secrets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let it be a secret. Okay, it's secret. Don't tell me it's there. Like, you don't tell other people when you have a secret, and you're like, "Ooh, I have a secret." You don't know it.
Without sounding too crass and dismissive, I've got to be real, dude. It sounds like a you problem.
It is. I'm aware it's a me problem. What, you think I don't know this?
Like damn games with all this extra effort the devs are putting in to make fun secrets.
All the extra effort to make me know that I suck ass. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I mean, like we've said this before. This is not a game where secrets would work anyway. So there not being secrets in this game, I don't think works against it. I don't know how you would put them in this without completely ruining the flow.
You might be able to put them in between the final arena and the boss fight. Like, you put one in each of
Maybe.
those areas, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Even then, it still feels like it'd break up the flow just a little too much. Pacing is important, and this game's is really well paced out.
Yeah. I think even though it's a short game, the pacing really sells what it's able to do, you know?
Yes.
By the way, Serge fucking sells it. I like the effort he put into this. Very noticeable. It's very good. I think in an interview he talked about how, like, when he was younger, he almost got entirely absorbed into video games, which is not something I knew about.
Oh yeah? You'd be surprised how many people are like big into video games, they just don't talk about it. It's a hobby, it's a very common hobby that a lot of us share.
Is it an addiction for me? I don't know.
I mean, it can be an addiction as well as a hobby.
That's true. Not every addiction is bad. I'm addicted to breathing.
It's more like a core function of life, really.
No. Every time I breathe in, it's like, oh my god! It is a thing to point out for this stage. There is not infinite health on this stage.
Yeah.
Like, the health points, you run out of them, and you only get to this section. Like, if you look at the boss's health bar real quick.
Yeah.
Only now are we getting enemies that you could, like, slaughter for health back, right?
Right. Okay.
A lot of this fight is very dependent on either, like, focus on dodging, or, like, deal enough damage quickly that you can get through the phases that you struggle with.
Yeah. Oh, that's not terrifying.
No?
The way she just crawled at you.
She's sending her magics at you.
I think, yeah, I guess that's another problem I have, I guess, with this boss design here is, at least at this point, she's attacking you. She ain't moving a lot.
For some of them, she moves a little bit
projectiles
more.
are just kind of coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. I think that was not gonna lie, a poor example.
Yeah.
But hey, it happens.
Hellsinger, you have come for your voice, but I only have part of it. The rest is in the heavens. Some of us believed the all needed to be torn down. Its corruption was absolute. Wait, please. Let me tell you who I was. Your protector. And when Basilius saw you first, we conspired to hide you here, knowing hell would make us forget. Cloak our plans, even from ourselves. Basilius and I rebelled against the light. I was cast down, appointed judge. I took your voice, knowing one day you would have to defeat me to exalt heaven. And over time, we forgot everything. In hell, you lost yourself.
So she won. But there's a reason you don't outright mess with the all. Because when you do, things get strange. Bottom line, I wouldn't worry too much about the unknown. She's tougher than any of us, and her song ain't over. So when she gets up top, and I don't reckon it'll take too long either, well, let's just say, Lord help heaven when she gets there.
There you go.
And we got the sequel bait there at the end.
Oh, of course they do, you know. Now I say sequel bait. One thing that we should point out, right?
Yeah.
On the Metal Hellsinger Discord, where we were able to talk with people that are actually involved in the Hellsinger project, one thing that they've said is people are like, "Oh my god, we want to go more." Like, hell yeah, Heaven Hellsinger, or like Metal Heaven Slayer, or whatever the hell people want, right? And they've talked about it. For them to even get to the point where they're like, "Yeah, we're totally going to make DLC or a sequel," they're honest. They're like, if sales aren't well, we're not going to be able to. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just that's the sad reality of things nowadays. But it is what it is, right? Luckily, I'm not the only one who likes this game. If you go on the Steam page, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Really?
Yes, a lot of people really like this game. And the only complaints about it that are like consistently happening are people going, the game is too short.
Right, yeah.
And occasionally the writing's a little cringy. Yeah. I'm not going to say that at the end there that it wasn't, you know, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But, you know, I understand that. But the thing it really, really did just so well is just absolutely be a really good gaming experience. Which is something that's hard to explain well. As you do things with the music, you're not going like, I want to do all of these things at once. You're going, I want to do them to the music, and then you're like, you know. You start singing along to it as you play. You feel real good when you're doing it. You're in the section of fucking Nihil, and it's like, a red judge waiting for our hero. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't have a good way to describe this game other than it's like really, really fun, and the experience is
like
designed
a dopamine
to
drip.
be really fun.
Like a dopamine drip. You just hooked up to like pure dopamine as you go.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of rhythm games are really good at as well, is that kind of dopamine hit. Which I guess, I guess that's what a lot of video games do in general. It's how it's how they keep us hooked.
Yeah. It's interesting to see a game where they're like, this would be fun, and then they make the game, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Versus a game where it's like, I want to design this so that the people that find the game, the people that end up playing the game, if it's for them, it's going to be unquestionably for them. And it's going to just give them an experience that's not quite like other things. Like, man, I'm trying to think of a very good example. I can't think of a good one. That's just like... Because, of course, games are meant to be fun.
Yeah. Well, depends on the game.
I feel like...
Depends on the game. Some games definitely aren't meant to be fun.
Fair. Getting over it.
Oh, well, Silent Hill is what I was thinking, but yeah.
Silent Hill. Games that are designed with different things in mind, of course.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see a game that goes like, it's a game, we want it to be a game.
For sure.
I would like to use this opportunity to talk about a lot of the points that I actually have for places that this game could improve if they ended up making a sequel of any kind or DLC, right? Number one, leaning more into the metal. Give me an audience. Let me show off my fucking stuff beating up God for his lunch money to all the archangels, right? That would be so much fun, right? Secondly, when it comes to the writing, I think it is on the cusp of being just self-aware enough to know when it's good and not. I don't want to say this in like a rude way, but I don't know how else to. I'm not exactly sure that the game was written where all of it was knowingly meant to be campy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not necessarily
one thing that could
self-aware.
fix that is kind of trying to hone in on that idea. Post
Guess
credits.
that brings us to the here and now. Yeah, it's dark, but the stars are still out there. Things went sideways when the judge died. Realms just clean fell apart. Devils rushed out of the hells into the prime, took up residence in places they didn't belong and weren't meant for. Ruined a lot of prime vacation spots, if you get my drift. Anyway, we got split up, unknown to me. I'm not sure where she is now. Not in heaven, that's for sure. It's okay, though.
It's trilogy bait, not sequel bait.
It could happen. I played the waiting game before in worse places than this. So now I'll just sip my drink and miss my friend while all of existence spirals down the drain. Anyhow, I don't know when or if we'll catch up again. Could be never. But you know, could be a lot sooner than never, too. We'll just have to see. Y'all stay safe now.
Cute little ending. I appreciate it.
That's cute.
Yeah. It also means, yes, she has a human form. She's hotter. No.
Oh, no.
No. Leaning more into that metal motif. That would be really cool. Of like, give me an audience. Another thing, the writing, if you were to make it more self-aware, anyone that might be listening, here's some hot tips. Number 1, during the fight with the Red Judge, one thing here's an example I know you'll know. You know Fury.
Yeah.
You know your fight against Mr. Paddleman? I forget his name.
The Rush was his name? Was it? No, I don't remember.
Rush?
I don't think it's the Rush.
It's the guy where you're in the fight.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
the entire time you fight him, anytime he beats you down or hits you well or anything like that, he gives you words of encouragement to keep fighting.
He wants you to
in
kick
a
his
way
ass.
that isn't blatantly, obviously encouragement. What's up?
He wants you to kick his ass. He wants a good fight.
Yeah, he wants a good fight.
He's Goku. He wants.
Yeah, he's goading you, but
Yeah.
by encouraging. You know, he's like, "Do I look unconquerable to you?"
Yeah.
I
exactly.
think this game could have done a lot with that in mind, especially for the final fight with the judge.
Interesting. I
Rather
don't
than
think the
her
judge...
saying like, "Oh, you'll never beat me," and then it comes to find out that she's trying to help you.
I disagree. I think in Fury, in particular, that one enemy is specifically someone who's dedicated his life to training and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and you were the measuring stick against which he was measuring his strength, right? To the point where if you were bad, he'd be disappointed. The judge doesn't want that. The judge, as far as she's concerned, she doesn't want you to escape hell, right? She's like, no, I'm not having that. So she's not going to goad you. She's not going to tell you to do better. She doesn't want that. She wants to break your spirit rather than embolden it, right?
That's fair. I see that. I could see it going both ways depending on how you're looking at it. I think I'm looking at it from the sense of not the boss fights, just the final one, where she has her full memories, knows who she is and why she did what she did. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
With the context
I
of
see
what
you
she
mean.
did in mind.
Yeah.
She knows that for you to go and fight the All, aka Skrolg, you have to Skrolg. You have to be able to beat her.
Yeah.
And so her being like, is this all you can do or stuff like that? Like that might be a better way to do it.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't need to change a lot. Some of it's already actually in there, right? But a little bit more would be good. Audience, of course, would be great.
Yeah.
A different kind of take. I think I would like it if some of the music was using a bit more of a variety of instruments.
Oh, that's what I was going to get into, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Because this whole soundtrack is heavy metal. That's the genre, right? That's
yeah,
the whole thing. I think if they were to, I'm assuming that the next game will be heaven based. I would love to see them lean more into like symphonic power metal.
Yes.
So you know, get a string section in there, right? Maybe a little bit of brass. Fucking get me a harp, right?
Get me a choir singing like
yes,
weird shit in the background. Do you know how both heavenly and how demonic it sounds to hear a choir of people singing in like Latin?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do that. Get some like Nightwish kind of stuff in there. I'd love it.
Or oh my god! Imagine if they got like Hebrew.
Ooh,
that would be really good.
Or like one band I love, one power metal band that I think would be fun. Maybe, I don't know if they'd work for a heaven-based one, but Rhapsody would be fucking brilliant.
Ooh,
I love Rhapsody.
I do.
Good stuff. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the what's the word? The orchestra in this game was very traditional, I suppose, for heavy metal.
Yeah,
and yeah, without any symphonic elements. And I guess for Hell that works, but I think for Heaven I would like to see that kind of expansion now to a more symphonic sort of approach.
I agree 100%. I think that would be a fantastic route to go. And all of this is to say, I still think this game 100% is like that level of overwhelmingly positive. I think this game does a lot right. It learned lessons where previous games got it wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I would hope for is they take this like idea of where people are falling short on falling in love with this, being some samey music, some samey bosses, the dialogue not being the greatest, right? I hope they don't change the core of what's there that people really do love, and just change the things that happen to be around it for the better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's not much else to show here. I could go into Torments, but really it doesn't...
I don't think we need to do
what
that.
You haven't seen already, so it's fine.
But yeah.
Are we about at the 3-hour mark, by the way? Or are we
we're at the 4-hour mark, nearly.
Oh, jeez. Whoopsie!
We were at the 3-hour mark a while ago.
I didn't even realize that.
That's all good. But yeah, I'm gonna say that's probably it from us when it came to Metal Hellsinger. I guess what's our big takeaway from this game? You know, what can we take away from Metal Hellsinger? What does this add to the you know, to the gaming industry, or to like this hobby that we all love?
Sometimes simple fun is just that. Simple fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think this is a game that is simple in concept, simple in execution. Maybe not so simple from like a gameplay perspective, because I mean, again, design-wise it is, but in playing it, obviously there's a lot of focus, and like you as a player still have to really put your all into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's overall a very simple idea, very simple design, simple gameplay loop, ultimately, that is just really well executed.
100%.
And, you know, the folks behind this game should be proud of it, and I'm sure they are.
Oh, one thing to talk about, if we want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
One thing I'd love to point out, this game has extras.
Oh, okay.
The extras show you every cutscene.
Nice.
These are the stories of the torments, I believe.
Right.
So these unlock when you do the torments. They're nothing important right now.
Mm-hmm.
But something you might notice is the music. It's all here.
It is.
When you play it, it pulls it up like an album cover and just straight up plays it.
Does the game provide you a way to download this album separately?
I don't think so.
Or is it like
I'm
is
not
it in
sure.
the game
like,
files?
I think you can pull
just...
it out of the files.
Yeah,
like, you can easily do that. People
That's
have,
fine. Yeah.
right? But it's not on Spotify right now for legal reasons.
Uh-huh.
The reason we're able to listen to this on your stream without issue is the same reason why it's currently not available on Spotify.
Right.
they're trying to. I don't know what that process is going to end up being like, and I think other people have uploaded it to Spotify anyways, so, like, you know, if you really want to find it, you can find it, but they did go through the extra effort of putting all of the music in here, and, you know, it does let you just, like, you're like, oh, I really like that one part of this one song. Hang on, let me pull it up. And then you go, yeah, I love that part of that song, you know?
For sure. Alright, well, I think we've said everything we need to say about this game. Yeah, so, folks, I want to thank you all for coming along. I hope you all enjoyed this. I know I did. This has been... I did. I mean, gosh. We'll say.
I enjoyed it a lot, too.
Where do we go next? Well, for those of you who are new, or maybe you're unaware, the Ludo Narrative is a show that we do every week, 9 p.m. British time, every Sunday. So, that's when this one started. Next week, we'll be doing Max Payne. Is going to be the game that we cover, and that may be a two-parter. We may end up doing it the next week as well, because I think we can probably play through that whole game, similar to how we did with this game. So if you're interested in that, be sure to follow, so you get a notification when it comes up. There's also a schedule published just below this in the About section, or the Schedule section. You can see it there.
3 p.m. Central for anyone that's in America.
There you go, 3 p.m. Central for anyone in America. Max, if you don't want to see Max in Pain, it'll be me playing Max Payne, but I'm sure Max is going to make plenty of jokes about him having the same name, because Max is nothing if not unoriginal.
Can't believe they made a game about me.
My god. Jesus, how the fuck do I do this with you? But yeah, that's going to be it from us, folks. Like I said, come back next week. If you missed some of the stream, it'll be cleaned up a little bit in editing and uploaded to YouTube within a couple of days. Again, my YouTube channel, there should be a link to that below, or I think just ! YouTube, does it? Have a look. It does.
Yeah,
there you go. There's my YouTube channel. So that's it from us. Hope to see you again next week. Until then, you guys have a good one. Ta-ra.
Later, everyone.